Like seriously, are you dumb?
Man, I don't know what's going on, but I see a lot of these fuck niggas popping they shit, thinking that niggas, you know, they tough, they cold with this shit, and it's absurd. I find that disrespectful.
Like seriously, are you dumb?
Talking records, bet he ain't gon' try. Ain't no coming back, one step and it's goodbye. Niggas we let it fly, now it's old, touch the sky. Another dumb way to die. They should warn them, they don't make it out alive. We don't talk, we just carve it in the side. Left the mark, now his name in the fire written high. Another dumb way to die. He ain't beat the preach, that's context. Now he a highlight in the text. Tried to start but got reset. Soon as he got checked. Guess he yesterday's news. Now he on like talking less. Boy was gassing up the smoke. Now he choking on the stress. True down, but still on his own sword. Put that fraud to rest. Thought he was solid but cracked under heat. Now he's compressed. We the real highlight. Leave our mark with the blade. Swing sharp, every text plain. No need for a shade. Bring heads back to the camp. Left the fire engraved. And no echoes in the barbarian name. Living terrain. Biggest the game. Watch his last rush go live. Step wrong, now he trending. Another dumb way to die. Talking reckless, bet he ain't gon' try. Ain't no coming back, one step and it's goodbye. Think it's sweet, we let it fly. Now it's old, touch the sky. Another dumb way to die. They should warn them, they don't make it out alive. We don't talk, we just carve it in the side. Left the mark, now his name in the fire written high. Another dumb way to die.
It's a thousand ways to die. Why the fuck try us? Keep playing with me, I'ma show you I'm not nothing touch. Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Or you must be bored? Whole time suicide by barbarian. So drink that garbage juice you needed trying to step to me. You know you a pussy nigga, slice your head off your body. Narratives and propaganda's not the way to fight, little bitch. The top is where you wanna be, but this is where we fucking live. The shot is on me, the ball's the only thing reloaded. Got 49 in the drums, you saw your homie, now he folded. It's a bunch of headless horsemen walking dead up in these streets. I'ma call you Moses, write your death in your defeat. You niggas dumb.
Talking reckless, bet he ain't gon' try. Ain't no coming back, one step and it's goodbye. It's when we let it fly, now it's old, touch the sky. Another dumb way to die. They should warn them, they don't make it out alive. We don't talk, we just carve it in the side. Left the mark, now his name in the fire written high. Another dumb way to die.
Especially when these fuck niggas be trying to talk to us barbarians and shit, stepping to us, thinking they gon' fucking come out alive and shit. Like, nigga, you don't understand, nigga, that we all fucking savages, nigga. Like, do you wanna die or something? Like, you niggas disgust me. Shame you niggas.
Oh, I'm just gonna go. No intro. Okay, that's what's up. I'll take it. Peace and love to the family, to the chat, everybody that's here on the panel. Salute to the Barbarians. Salute to Himmy. Dumb Way to Die is a classic. You know what I mean? And so this right here is just folks had some questions about me going a little bit deeper into my debate with LP about collective Black identity. And so I'm just gonna go in, go a little bit deeper into some of the slides. The folks on the panel got some questions they can ask me. We can stop, at whatever point and just ask whatever questions. I know people in the chat got questions, so just ask away. And then, like I said, you could just stop me if y'all see a good question because I'm not really in the chat. All righty. How we looking, honey? We ready to rock?
Absolutely.
All right, then. All right. Are you able to see that full screen?
Yes. You want to make it bigger, or is that okay?
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm seeing it now. Okay.
Okay.
Boom. All right. So basically, the conversation was, does the belief in a higher power strengthen or weaken collective Black identity? Now, a lot of folks didn't really understand my presentation, so we're going to go through it a little bit, right? So primarily, starting off with the image right here, is my position to show how it actually weakens. So I thought, stone, brick, whatever, let's show the cracks in the wall. So that's where you get the stone imagery from. And so moving forward, beliefs and discernment. Now, when you hold a belief, most times that belief comes along with the understanding that, you have a specific discernment to know that you're correct. Christianity, they say that, Jesus is the way, right? They believe that because they have been given some form of discernment. They use that term all the time, right? And on the screen right now, you see the actual scriptural source for each one: Islam, Judaism, etc. But just to go one step further on this slide, we just had a conversation today where the one brother was giving us his interpretation of God, right? Which is fine. Everybody can hold their own interpretation. But the reason you have that interpretation is because you feel like you have some sort of discernment, especially when you're dealing with the spiritual world and those type of terms. Somehow the knowledge and to know that you are correct was given to you. And that's where we're going right here, because the issue is everybody doesn't believe in the same higher power, meaning there must be, if any of them are true, there might be more than one or none. So if we don't believe in the truth of it, if we go, if we feel like this has any type of bearing on our eternal being or even our being here on this planet, we need to look into and see whose discernment is correct. If we're gonna move forward with a belief that we can't necessarily prove. I use this slide several times. It's pretty obvious. It's from the famous speech, Ballad of the Bullet. But the context with that was he was in an arena with multiple leaders of the civil rights movement, Muslim and Christian alike. And he always says, "Welcome, sisters, brothers, and others," because you never know who else is in the audience, right? So you don't know who else was believers in the audience. But he was definitely speaking to the other ministers, the Muslim ministers and the Christian pastors, saying, "Don't when we come together to find a solution for race issues, don't bring up religion, because we're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a dispute because we don't believe the same things fundamentally. On the surface, we might all believe in a higher power. That might sound great. But now if I ask you how you're supposed to interact with that higher power, or how does that higher power expect you to interact with people, that's when we start having issues. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because he is not just, I saw somebody in the comments say he's just one man and it's just one man's opinion. This is not true. He definitely was coming from a Garveyite household. His mother and father were both Garveyites. So he understood the Black nationalist movement growing up, even though he went, and did the things he did criminally or whatever. He was well versed in understanding Pan-Africanism and the need for unification. Okay, let's move forward. Like I said, y'all, listen in. If you got any questions, stop me. All right, so I said here, this was partially just mainly for the debate, actually. Just
really
to
quick,
point,
can I interrupt?
Yes.
They're asking in the chat, can you make it full screen?
I don't know if we can. We really tried. Let me see. I can try to. Let's see if I do this.
Click on slideshow.
Yeah, no, when I do that, it doesn't change screens. Right, that's been the issue. Like right now, I got it on slideshow right now, and it's still not showing nothing. Give me 1 second. Let me see.
Let's switch to beliefs and discernment.
Right, that's because I had it on a large screen. I just went back. So I mean, I can zoom in though. So if it's something that y'all just what is it? Who can make it screen full? Just let me know what slide, and I'll just zoom in. Right now, this is big as we're gonna be able to get it. So just let me know what slide and where, and I will zoom in on that. But I think they said it on this right here. So if we bring up religion, we bring in an argument. The best way to keep away from arguments and differences, as I said before, is put your religion at home in the closet. Keep it between you and your God, because if it hasn't done anything more for you than it has, you need to forget it anyway, which is a deeper point, but we don't even go into that. So this right here, this is the but for rule in law. Without the belief in a higher power, our collective Black identity would most likely be stronger. Now, that's just based on the information that I'm showing here. We don't know what it would look like on the other side of that. However, the truth is, belief in higher power has weakened us, and that's what we was really getting into in the whole debate. So now this right here is a little crazy. So the death spirals, you guys, I don't have a video of that right now, but if you look at an ant death spiral, right, it's where the pheromones from a foreign ant colony have crossed over the path of another ant colony that's walking past. And it gets crisscrossed, and it causes them to actually do a spiral, circle, 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 until the entire colony dies. It'll just be a pile of ants sitting there, not knowing what to do because they're trained to follow this pheromone. Now, the reason this is relevant is because it's my position that most belief systems that we adhere to today specifically are foreign to us as a people. But belief in general is a foreign entity to humans at all, just as a general point. I'll wait to see who asks me a question on that. But when we talk about the different beliefs that have been introduced to us, most of them emphasize obedience and submission over liberation. That is a fact, right? Most follow on heavenly rewards rather than earthly justice. Meaning, whatever things is happening to us as a race down here, that's not really important. It's not, and they tell you all the time, let go and let God. We can't do nothing in this physical realm. It's a spiritual war we fight. It's nothing we can do. And that mindset permeates any movement that we have. And so if we're not talking about actually doing physical liberation here, because internally, because of these belief systems, we don't believe it's possible, how can we expect a different outcome here? So someone like me who doesn't have an afterlife belief, you know what I'm saying? What am I supposed to do with y'all? Literally, in my view, pretending at this point to care about race issues, right? And moving forward, a lot of these different religions that have been introduced to us suppress African spirituality and cultural pride, right? Let's see here. This is a little breakdown of the different religions that Black people adhere to in America. So now when you see this, I mean, we don't even have to go much further. You all know Christians that call themselves Christian first, right? It's not Black Christian first. That only comes up when we talk about something completely different, right? Same thing with Islam. Islam, that's the issue with Malcolm, as a matter of fact, when he switched to Sunni Islam. You know what I'm saying? The Black nationalist was like, yo, what are you doing? He said, nah, I see the white brothers as the brothers. Mind you, later on in this, I show how that actually undermines our movements, and it has throughout history. I put this slide in pretty much because LP pretends that he don't know what I'm talking about, but he knows exactly what I'm talking about to the point where he did a presentation on it. Hey, y'all definitely jump in. I don't want to be just rambling. So this right here, what exactly does Black solidarity mean, or collective Black identity? Right? What does it mean? What can it possibly mean? So, right, there's studies on this. People have been talking about it. But the one theme that you always hear a lot of Black folks say, you know what I'm saying, is the common oppression. My bad. I'm supposed to be zooming in. I'm sorry. Hold on. See how I zoom in down here. Right. So, common oppression is generally how we use our or connect with our collective identity. You know what I'm saying? When we talk to believers, how do you think we'd have made it this far if it wasn't for our God or our belief in a God? Which I'm gonna keep reiterating throughout this whole thing, is weirdly disrespectful, right? Because think about what you're saying to the people who have not survived, right? We know that there are groups of people who have not survived throughout history, right? And so, what about those people? Are you saying that they didn't believe hard enough? Are you saying that they didn't believe the right thing? If so, how is that possible? Excuse me. And then we see other people who have gone through oppression as well and come through it. So are we saying that it's all equal? Or is oppression not necessarily the best identifying factor? right? So over here, black solidarity generally is uh, is looked at through the lens of black nationalism at some level, right? You see Shelby here rightly notes that black solidarity has been and continues to be seen as a solution to the problem of dealing with racism and white supremacy, which is true. But in the same breath, he says that the calls for a collective black identity are doomed to fail. Now, the problem with that is that's what a lot of black folks feel. They may not say it, but in their actions, they show it. There are things that could be being done that would strengthen collective black identity that are not being done in the interest of religion. Later on, I'll show one of the verses, one of the biblical verses that's related to that, right? So here we go, the problems of black identity, right? You can look at this University Press article because the problem is the divisions based on religion. And a lot of times we act like we don't understand that to be true when we really know it to be true, right? So there was a wild question about why would I ever bring this up in the debate? Well, as a black nationalist and as a Garveyite, of course I'm going to talk about Marcus Garvey, his dealings with religion. As a matter of fact, in his first, there's an entire section on religion. I encourage everybody to go look that up, especially folks who like to throw in my face as an atheist that Garvey was a believer, right? What you see right there, the essence of religion for Garvey was imparting of race pride. Same thing that Malcolm X said, remember? It's either for race pride or you might let it go. If it ain't about to help you in your race, what you doing? What you doing? And then you see here, Garvey, they wanted to make the UNIA, the Christians wanted to make it all Christian, the Muslims wanted to make it all Muslim. Garvey wouldn't either do either because at some level he realized that the core beliefs are different and they would cause division amongst people. You know what I mean? If I don't believe in Mecca being the place, you know what I'm saying? It's an automatic problem. If I don't, as a Christian, if I don't believe in, or on the flip side, if I don't believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and light, there's an automatic problem, right? I mean, automatic. Like as soon as we start talking about this,
Hold on,
right?
hold
So
on.
here we
Wait a second.
go. Ahead.
And hear me, what do you mean by that?
But what? Here we go. Oh, it's questions.
He was proving a point right here.
He is. So he's proven the point that identity is directly tied to belief in a higher power by him mentioning Garvey's quote. Because Garvey said the only reason, like his belief in religion is directly tied to his race, which is identity. You see what I'm saying? So that means that his belief in a higher power is tied directly to who he thinks he is and who he identifies as. That's the whole purpose of the debate. You see what I'm saying? So that would be a point. LP didn't catch it in the debate, but that would be a point for LP.
Well, it would not have been, and this is why. So notice the next thing. Notice the next thing it said before you even go back to me reading that part. The next thing it said is in this light, his willingness to tolerate Islam and the attraction he had for Muslims is not difficult to understand. Indeed, Harlem's black Jews could find a home in the UNIA, for the basic thrust of their doctrines boiled down to a similar message of race, pride, and self-reliance. Okay.
Right.
And in religion, he was primarily concerned with the essentials. However, the Christian and non-Christian religions approved by Garvey all simultaneously predicted and worked hard to effectuate the term former glories of African race. Now, the reality of that last part, we can hold on to the first part, but all of the rest, if it's not doing the African race thing, then we don't deal with it, right? We put that in the closet because the moment you have an issue, for example, okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but let me show you. Give me 1 second. I want to get to this one slide. It'll sort of further in the debate, but boom. All right, so there's no getting around this, right? These are Bible verses that are absolutely anti-traditional African belief system, right? Now, In order for us to respect someone who does worship other gods, we have to not deal with these verses. We have to not have this conversation. The moment that conversation comes, now, mind you, people don't realize that in the UNIA there was voodoo practitioners. As a matter of fact, there was a voodoo priest that got sent to the Pan African Congress, right? So we know what Ifa follows. We know it, right? It's absolutely other gods, right? Now, as far as these core fundamental verses is concerned, if you even link with folks that's doing this, you're not, you out of step with your belief system. That's why he said the overall the umbrella piece is okay. We can all say that we believe in a higher power if we want. That's cool. But the moment you start talking about the specifics, it's going to cause a problem. It's absolutely going to cause a problem.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So, yeah, but you're right about that. So, it's like a catch-22, right? So collectively, as a black people, we all identify with the higher power who gives us our identity, right? Which is the title of y'all debate. However,
but no, though. Wait, though. You said right, but no is the answer to that question. Because you said we all identify with a higher power, and we don't. Because I'm sitting here telling you I don't.
Right? I'm not talking about atheists. I'm talking about the ones who do believe. We're talking about does belief in a higher power, right, strengthen black collective identity, right? So what I'm saying is that we are, yes. So that's why the difference is you have different people identifying with different sects of their blackness, right? So you have Africanism, you have Hebrew Israelites, you have Christianity, you have Islam, right? So it's not the higher power that's the issue, it's the religions that stem from belief in a higher power. You see
exactly. What I'm saying? And there we go. Notice you said stem from the belief in a higher power. And stem from means it's coming from the root. Hold on. Stem from means it's coming from the root, which is higher power. And without that root, we wouldn't be here. And that's my whole point.
That's what I'm saying. You can have an argument that religion is but the higher power isn't. I can create a religion. Me and you can read a book, and I can create my own religion. You can go and create your own religion or doctrine from the same. We reading the same exact thing, but I want my people to follow it in this way. You want your, so it's not the book itself. It's how I'm presenting this book, what I said, what I take from this book, how I interpret this book, and the same for you and your people. You see what I'm saying? So we can't blame it on the source.
But no, it's not the book that we're talking about. It's the belief in a higher power.
I know the book
didn't have that. But if you didn't have that belief in a higher power, you couldn't be tricked or convinced to believe in something wrong. If you didn't have that belief in a higher power, most, and like I said, I'm a hold to it. Most believers believe in some way that they are better than people that believe different than them because they believe that their shit is right. So, but for the belief in the higher power, you wouldn't have that internal feeling towards people who didn't believe what you believe, right?
Well, but that's the same thing. Okay, so
it's like when you say the religion is just real quick, and I'm gonna shut up. So you say the religion as a leaf. Let's say a leaf on a branch, right? The religion is the leaf on a branch, right? But it stems from the belief in a higher power. Without that root, you wouldn't have the religion in the first place. If the higher power, and this is the atheist position all day, if the higher power was true in any way, it could make sure everybody knew it. Yeah, so it wouldn't even be an issue. But until we have that, everybody's going to have an issue. And but for that issue, the high belief in a higher power, it would be stronger. There's no getting around it.
I see what you're doing, bro, but it's the same thing on the atheist side, right? Those who worship science, who love science and whatever.
Worship science.
Listen to what I'm. Yes, there are people who worship science. I'm not saying that that's you, but there are atheists who worship the scientific method and worship science, and they call non-believers dumb. They call believers dumb, ignorant. They don't understand. They this, they that, right? I get labeled all the time because of my faith in Christianity, right? I have the capacity to understand science just as any atheist. But because I am a believer in Christ, they assume that I lack understanding, I lack comprehension, I can't understand the scientific method, I can't apply it, all this different stuff. So the same thing you're saying on the religious side is the same thing that happens on the atheistic side, right? The difference is you're just trying to blame it on God. I'm saying it's not God's fault, it's man's fault for using these little things to separate us. That's what I'm saying.
No, I understand what you're saying, but it's still if if it's a leaf on a branch that stems from the belief in a higher power without the root, you wouldn't
Mhm.
have this issue. Check. And if the root was genuine, it could correct any misunderstandings anybody had. And by further extension, punish right there on the spot anybody who did it wrong to further the belief in the fact that this really is a higher power. Until
So
then, we have warring factions. As a matter of fact, you listed off some folks. You know what I'm saying? So let's go find them. You said Islam. Hold on, let's see how far away it is. Well, Chris.
we can pick any, right? But that would be like all atheists Pan Africans? No, right?
Are all
Yeah,
atheists Pan Africans? No. Why would you
black.
say that?
I'm talking about black atheists because that's important. There's even amongst the people who don't believe in a higher power, there is division when it comes to identity. So the issue isn't a higher power creating a division in identity. All black atheists are in Pan Africans.
No,
You
you're
get what
right.
I'm saying?
However, the belief in how, but that's not the topic, right? The topic was, does the belief in a higher power do this? And it does.
It don't. But I just showed you that it don't because you don't believe in a
No, but it
higher
does.
power. No, look, listen. What I'm saying, you don't believe in a higher power, right? But you're a Pan
Hmm.
African. There's also someone that doesn't believe in a higher power that is not a Pan African. There's not that
Right.
that does not. You know what I'm saying? They think they're abos. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's two different things, right?
Hmm.
And that's a
Hmm.
split. There's a division in identity that didn't come from a higher power. So the higher
You're right.
power isn't so that's what I'm telling you. The higher
No, the
power
higher power isn't the cause of those divisions. However, on a
isn't the
larger
cause of
scale,
any division.
hold on, on a larger scale and the most relevant scale, the
Mhm,
collective Black identity,
mhm.
yes, as a whole, worldwide, yes, it's absolutely the cause. As a matter of fact, look at your screen right now. These are places right now that if you say that you're an atheist, you could die. Who's doing it? Who's going to kill it? It's the believers. Who? Black believers. Every time. That's who it is. That's who it is, right? It's not atheists killing people. You can't even find that. You can't find that nowhere.
You said you can't
Atheists,
find
somebody,
atheists killing people?
nope, nope. You can't find it, bro. Watch how, and now you go look for it. Watch how long it take you, and even if you found one, it still would just be one because you can't find that, bro. That's not what's happening. What you have is religious believers, right? They call them zealots, right?
Mhm.
Ostracizing people who either believe something different or people who do not believe what they anything at all, right? So like here you go again. You know what I'm saying? People dying and losing their livelihoods over this, over not believing. So when you say that people label you, etc., most times, most times, in a situation where an atheist is having a conversation about religion with a believer, especially in some sort of accusatory back and forth way, most times it's in a response to either a question or a statement, right? So yeah,
I
you know what I'm
disagree.
saying? Sometimes there are people who are going to be over the top disrespectful to belief. For whatever reason, they ended up leaving the belief system and became atheists. Yeah, they might really be wild, disrespectful. But look at this example that's on the screen right
Mhm.
now. The sister Mandisa Thomas, you know what I'm saying, was really just living life. But this black lady, because she was speaking about atheism in front of white people, you know what I'm saying? She ostracized her publicly and loudly, like she's screaming and hollering. You know what I'm saying? Said she felt sorry for her mom and kids. You know what I mean? Like you don't see atheists doing that out in like you know what I'm saying, like a Christian event. You know what I'm saying? You don't see atheists coming up to them doing that like that, or a Muslim event. You don't see. We don't go to the Eid festivals and you don't see that happen. But you do see anytime it's brought up that we don't believe what believers believe, us being in a situation where we have to defend it, where we have to be careful and respectful of beliefs that we definitely don't hold. And usually we are. Because most times, most atheists hide they lack of belief. You know what I'm saying? So there's whole documentaries about how Black atheists um, feel ostracized and are afraid to come out to family and friends because of that ostracism. You know what I mean? So, you know, the people that you mentioned that are divided, they're not Pan Africans, right? That's not necessarily the issue. The question was, does this happen, right? And it does. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about over an overwhelming scale. Like I just told you, people dying based on their belief in their being correct, their discernment, and their being correct in their system. And I'm talking about a fundamental thing. You know what I'm saying? Kill people, non-believers. That's in all the Abrahamic faiths, right? So all they doing is following the book. It's studying interpretation.
Nah, it is interpretation a lot of times. That's what I'm saying. The reason that there's division even amongst the one, like you have the Abrahamic faith, right? And there's so much division amongst that one faith because of man's interpretation of the text itself.
Okay,
So
that doesn't take away from the fact that if the higher power was genuine, it could fix that. No,
that's
I'm
crazy.
serious. No, you got to understand why that's important, right? The reason that's important is because y'all say, I'm not even gonna say y'all, believers in certain doctrines say that it is the truth. And it's so true, in fact, that it matters for our eternal being. The thing that we're talking about will affect you eternally. So if you care about it seriously, if I am to believe that someone cares about it seriously, then they want to know the truth about it. The moment they don't really want to go further and know the truth about it, I know that they're not being serious with me. Okay. Now, many believers is dead serious, like yourself, right? But
Mhm.
now the question becomes, how do I know that I'm correct? Like I go back to that discernment slide today. How do you know that your current interpretation, you say that some folks is interpreted it incorrect.
Mhm.
How do you know that what you are saying about Christianity is correct, except for a certain discernment and interpretation that you have?
But you can't say except for because that's the major thing, and the text tells you that, right? So it's not like except
So it
is
says
not the proper
rely not
word.
on that.
No,
It
it
says
doesn't
rely
say
not on that.
it. Don't lean on your own understanding, right? So the
That's what I said.
discernment comes from the Holy Spirit, right? It's supposed to come from the Spirit. That's where wisdom comes from, right? So it's you read the text, right? Precept on precept, line upon line, right? And then you get your discernment of those texts from the Spirit. So if you're not of the Spirit, then you won't have any understanding of these texts. And it also says
Exactly
that
what
He
I'm saying.
gave those up to right.
Well,
So
who's
that
what's the right text, or why? Who's giving this text authority?
God gave the
Oh, don't
text.
even do that yet. Before you even do that, no, stay in the
Oh,
text. It don't
because
matter.
I'm just trying to understand, like, why? Because you're making like, okay, our collective Black identity, and you're putting it on a random text.
No, it's I'm
No,
saying
before you
that
even do that,
no
just
matter
when you
which text
just,
that you say, right? People have their own feelings towards. So it's like you said, some of these people have started off, right? They grew up Baptist first, right? Baptist, then non-denominational, right? Then they tried out Hebrew Israelite, then Islamic, and then it from there goes on all the way up until they become atheists. So they try out several different faiths and then become atheistic. You see what I'm saying? So they go through a lot, and it's the same story for a lot of these individuals. They didn't just wake up non-believers.
what do you think is happening during that process?
They're fighting the text. It doesn't align with their core. I'm telling you, they're fighting the text. It doesn't align
Which
with what
text?
they want to believe. Listen, so have you ever heard someone say, uh, you know, God, why would God allow this? Why would God allow that? If he's all powerful, why he didn't stop this? Why he didn't stop that? That is so many people's uh issue with a higher being. They're like, why would I believe in a higher power that would allow all this fact, that would allow all this pain, all this suffering? So that's why they go away from it. Not just because of the religion itself, but just because they have a hard time reconciling why an all-powerful being would allow them to endure pain and suffering.
Pause right there. So what you're saying in that sentence right there, you're saying that these people still believe in the higher power, but they just believe that the higher power isn't doing what they think they should do.
So therefore, this is not real. It's created. Man created it because a higher power wouldn't allow me to suffer like this. He can stop it.
Okay. And you're saying that suffering is okay.
I'm not saying that suffering is okay.
Well, I'm saying, what's the other side of that, right? Because if I'm going to have a problem with my people suffering, which I do, right? And I'm going to say that if there's a thing that's saying it's a higher power, an omnipotent being that can do all things, and I'm looking at my people across the globe being subjugated, right? Why don't I have a problem? Why shouldn't I have a problem with an all-powerful being that can actually stop it, not stopping it when asked to stop it?
Because humans should be allowed to be accountable for their own actions. Everything isn't God. Listen, accountable to God. So there's moral law, right? We don't want to be accountable for decisions that we make. So we say that if there's a higher power that can stop us from making the decisions that we make that creates these situations, then it must be the higher power's fault. That's like blaming a parent because their children joined the gang. Their children did this. Go ahead.
That's not so. This someone enslaved that's asking a higher power to free them from slavery. What did they do wrong in that situation?
I didn't. That's not the question that you asked me before. That's a different question. That's belief in a higher power giving them hope. The first question you asked me was about a higher power stopping certain things from happening.
Yeah, stopping the slave trade, bro. Yes, stopping the slave trade.
Listen, they didn't believe that the higher power failed them. They got hope from it.
Who didn't believe
that? The slaves. They didn't believe that the higher power failed them because they were slaves. The people that walk away from belief, from any belief system, is because they believe the higher power failed them, or that this higher power must not really be all powerful or doesn't exist because he would stop this. The slaves that still that took on Christianity, right, and still believe and passed it on, did not feel like that higher power failed them. Their belief in that higher power actually gave them hope in their dark times. That's what I'm telling you.
So you tell me there was not a slave to be seen that felt like the higher power that they believed in.
I don't know. I don't know if it probably was one. I don't know. Come on, Joe. We talk about the collective, right?
No. You absolutely know that. Like, let's be 1,000. Not only do you know that for sure. And you know, one step further, you know, if the whip was hitting you today, you would have some questions too. Like, let's be 1,000 right now. Like, this is what this conversation.
I always got questions. Man, I wasn't a slave. Listen. I didn't grow up during slavery, right? But I grew up in America, right? Where there's racism, where there's all different other type of stuff that I have had to endure, that it may not have been slavery, but I don't blame God for the pain and suffering that I have had through my life.
Blame God? I didn't say blame God.
That's not my.
Listen, this is what we're saying right now, right? So we jumped to the slaves and things like that. But what I said was,
well, you took it to slavery.
Personally, no, you did. So what I'm saying is, if I believe that my people shouldn't be subjugated and oppressed worldwide, you know what I'm saying? Why can't I have that question for a superior being that can stop that? Because like you just said, it's still happening to this day. So my question for the higher power specifically, you just here speaking for it right now, is why would I believe in a thing that's supposed to be omnipowerful, but won't stop the subjugation of a people?
Because, like I said, how did sin enter the world?
What?
How did sin enter the world?
See, that's what I'm saying. You coming from a Christian point of view, sin is not in every belief system. Immediately, when you bring that up,
Immorality. All right. Don't call it sin.
no, no, no.
Don't call it. Don't call it sin. Call it
I got
immorality.
you. I got you. Immediately, when you bring that question, you have a completely different view of how these things entered the world than other belief systems, specifically other traditional African belief systems. Right? It's
That's
not just because man fell and fell from grace and shit like that. That's not always the
that's
case
why I
in other
said
belief
don't
systems.
call it.
I
I'm a
know,
Christian,
but
so I call it sin. But if you're not a
no, I'm
Christian,
talking about immorality.
okay.
Immorality did not
So
come into the
so
world
so
because
remove it.
of
So remove Christianity from it. My bad. I ain't mean.
I did.
I don't
I'm
want to have
saying
a
what you want
sermon.
me to say, bro. Listen,
So
I'm
look.
saying
So
take
right.
the word sin out of it. I'm
And
saying immorality did not come into the world the same way for different belief systems. That's a different answer for like 7 different belief systems that Black people
so
adhere to.
my point is that human beings do immoral things and then blame God for as soon as I do so. This is what people want. This is what I think this is what people expect. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. If I do something that is deemed immoral by you, God should wipe me off the face of the earth. Is that your stance?
No,
Or I shouldn't have the ability to do anything immoral. I should be a robot. It's either one of the two.
no, it's not. It's not one of the two at all. As a matter of fact, let me give you several others options. Right?
Okay, go ahead.
There's several, there's several things that supposedly happen in the Bible, right? Based on
You
the
keep taking it
command.
back to the Bible. I thought
No,
we
no,
was
no.
talking
I'm taking it there. I'm taking it there for you, so you can really understand what I'm saying. There's several things that happen in the Bible, commanded by or done by the God of the Bible, wiping out immorality, wiping out immoral people, punishing people in multiple different ways, not necessarily just wiping them out for doing immoral things.
hmm
If I read that and wonder, well, damn, why that shit ain't happen for me? That's not me tricking. That's me having a genuine question. Because what's wrong with me that I can't get the same treatment that cousin got in this book? Well, am
Okay,
I not believing hard enough?
I'm gonna break. I'm
Am I
gonna
not
break it down
praying
like
hard
this.
enough?
Watch this. You have you ever had I like using analogies to drive my point home. So
Let's
just walk
go.
with me. If there's a mother or father who has several children, right? Let's say there's a big age gap within the children. So I have a 15-year-old and I have a 6-year-old, right? When I was raising my 15-year-old, long before my 6-year-old came in, how I operated with them, how I disciplined them, right, may have been different. My 6-year-old will look at me and say, my 15-year-old will look at me as I'm disciplining my 6-year-old and say, that's not fair. You didn't do this with me. I didn't have this much grace. I didn't have this much work. But me as a parent, I understand why I'm moving about this way, right? Because it's me. I'm the parent. I'm the one that has to do the raising. I'm the one that has to do the teaching, the guiding, right? The protecting, all that, right? So think of God in that manner, right? We may not always understand it, right? As the children, but God has a plan, God has a purpose. And we fight that ourselves because things don't always make sense to us. Just like things won't always make sense to your children, although you are guiding them in the right direction. It's the same concept.
You realize that, okay, so in the same way that you use that analogy and we don't necessarily understand the plan,
Mhm.
do you realize it is possible that there is no plan to understand?
That's possible. Yeah, if you want to go with that,
Like, really
I
consider what
believe
we're
there is
saying,
one.
right? If
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
understanding and comprehension is so much different on that realm, why would there be a plan? Why would there be a plan? Based on what you just said, why would there be? Because if everything is supposed to just happen, free will for everything, the leaves, the plants, the ants, and the humans, right? What's the fucking plan? Like, genuinely, what's the plan? It is Based on everything that I've ever gathered from this, it'll get greater later. So genuinely, don't worry about what's happening right here. Literally, don't worry about it. Just do whatever you can to make sure you make it to the other side. Right?
Yeah,
It's
the
like
plan is
no
love,
matter.
though. That's the
Right,
plan.
right,
Is
right.
back to
But it's not,
love.
right? But it's really
Huh?
not, though. Because it's not love to people who don't believe what you believe. That's not
It's
what's
love all
described in the
people.
book. It's not, though. It's the
Huh?
moment I don't believe what you believe, we're supposed to separate.
Nah, bro.
Yes, bro.
I'm telling you that as a Christian, that's not true.
I'm telling you that as a former Christian, I know it to be true. This is what I'm
And see,
saying.
and that's
Like, yo,
and that.
okay, so when I say when Jesus from his mouth says he's separating the wheat from the chaff, what did he mean?
You breaking up?
When Jesus said he was going to separate the wheat from the chaff, what did he mean?
I don't know. You tell me what that mean.
No, you're a Christian. Remember, you say you Christian, you telling me.
I know. I said I don't know. You tell me what does that
But you
mean.
do know. But you do know. So just go on and answer the question.
I don't. I'm asking you to tell me what that means.
You've never heard. Okay, honey, you still there?
Yes.
Okay, what did he mean when Jesus said that he was going to separate the wheat from the chaff? And real quick, while you're thinking about that, to answer Apollo Bay in the chat, it's not that I was an atheist that did all this study. I was a Christian and a believer doing all this study, and now I'm an atheist. That's the difference. See, a lot of believers do not understand that some of us really know what we're talking about and have an understanding of these doctrines. And yes, Himmy, most of us have gone through multiple different joints. So we do have an understanding of multiple different joints. So
But
that's a
I
different
think it's the
conversation.
lack of But this is what I'm. And I'm not trying to accuse you, Pam. I'm just saying. I think it's the lack of understanding of whatever that causes you to go through. But if I'm a Christian and I really understand Christianity, there's nothing going to make me walk away from my Christian faith and go practice Islam. There's nothing that's going to make me walk away from my Christian faith and go practice Buddhism or Pan-Africanism or any. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing that's going to make me, because I completely understand the narrative of Christianity. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The lack of understanding is what causes people to walk away, not understanding.
Right. And this is the crux of my point.
Mm-hmm.
At some level, you genuinely feel, huh?
What you say, honey?
Because blessed be one of the answers. So separating the wheat from the chaff is distinguishing from things that are valuable and things that aren't, right?
I'm sorry, rewind. Say that one more time.
You were talking about separating the wheat from the chaff.
Mm-hmm. I just want you to repeat what you said. That's all.
Oh, distinguishing between things that are useful and things that are not.
Useful and not useful. Now, that's just that definition. What do the Bible say about that, though? What was he talking about when Jesus said it specifically?
Bring it up, Pam.
Useful.
The separation from the righteous and the wicked.
I'm sorry, from who?
The righteous and the wicked.
And the wicked. Now, who is the wicked? Is it just people who do bad things?
It's even believers that are wicked. What do you mean?
No,
you said that it's no. You said your statement before is the separation between is that as a Christian, people who don't believe what we believe in, then that's how we separate, right? But there are Christians, but that's not true. There are Christians, right, who do believe, right, and they are wicked.
The chaff too, right?
Exactly. Right. So it's not about whether you believe or not. It's about your way.
Because all the non-believers on the chaff side? Hello, am I breaking up?
You say what?
I said, are all the non-believers on the
chaff? But you nitpicking. There are Christians on the chaff side. It's not about. So listen, what I'm saying. You keep trying to draw ahead.
Actually, they're not. Actually, they're not. All non-believers are not on the chaff side.
Why did you say that?
Well, as a non-Christian person who also studied my favorite person, Miss Rahab, was saved not through her belief, but through her actions. She
So what do
wasn't.
Jesus say?
But
When
that's what I
Jesus
just
say,
said. It's about
"Whoever
faith.
believeth in me shall have what?"
Everlasting life, right? But what he
So
also
what about the
said
rest of the people?
before was that the way that you could have everlasting life was just through following those 10 commandments, right?
The 10
But
Commandments of
what
Jesus. Yes,
was
yes.
was also said is that faith without works is dead, right?
Mhm.
But
He said
people
that.
who have works without faith, they can still be saved.
How? I'm sure he
You
gave
should go to
a
it and read
prescription.
it. That comes
Huh?
next after the scripture because it talks about how Rahab was saved through her works and not her faith. The one who
Right.
does
I'm
the
saying
whore,
we don't
the
gotta
whore
you ain't gotta read the whole thing, but what was it? How did she get to that?
because she she saved the soldiers. The soldiers went to the
That's
whole
the
house and she saved them and shit. And then they saved her and her family. And she was
and she was
saved
Jewish,
through her
right?
works, not through her faith.
She was one of the Jewish people, right?
No,
Rahab wasn't
that
Jewish?
was in Jericho, wasn't it?
Hmm. I was just wondering. Okay,
Because
so who else? Do
Jericho
we ever
came
have
down, but her house stayed up or something like that. Himmy, you know the story, right? You
I'm just
yes.
because y'all going all over the because Payne gonna keep doing it no matter what. So the whole point
Keep
is
doing
that
what?
I just tried to break it down to you. There are Christians, right, who are wicked, meaning they are the reason why they are Christians is because they believe in Christ, right? They study
Yes.
the Bible just like I do, but their
Yes.
ways are wicked. You
Okay.
understand what I'm saying? They
I do
abuse
understand
the
what you're saying.
Bible. They use it to
You
castrate
gotta
people.
understand that I've already agreed to this. I already
Okay.
agreed to this, bro.
So
But my issue with
the
that is what I
separation
want
is
you to
about.
respond to is though
Listen what I'm
on that
saying.
side,
So the
no, because I need you to
separation.
respond to the part.
I'm trying to. But you
Aren't
keep interrupting
all
me.
non-believers on that side separate?
The separation isn't about believers and non-believers. It's
I didn't
about
say it was.
righteous. I'm trying to answer
Righteousness
you.
is wickedness.
Right.
I know it's righteousness is wickedness. I heard you. I need you to stop saying that part. I heard all of that. I'm
So let's say
asking
you
you,
never picked up the
is it
Bible.
no? Oh my God. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's say you never picked up the Bible, right? But you are living according to the text, even though you've never picked it up, right? But you love your neighbors, right? You're not out here committing adultery, you're not lying, you're not doing nothing, right? You just living a right. You've never picked up a book, so you don't know about it until somebody comes and introduces you to the faith, right? But you were living righteous. So me introducing it to you is how you would get your salvation, right? But you were already living righteous. Your ways were already righteous. You just didn't know who Christ was until I came up and introduced. Hey, I like your spirit. I like the way you move about. I like how you treat people. I like how you love on everybody. You know what I'm saying? I serve a God who instructs me to do the same way. Can I introduce you, man?
I don't think you're hearing me.
I am hearing you. You're not hearing me. You can
No, I
live.
am. Let
You can
me show
live.
you
You
that I
can
heard you.
live by. Listen. You can live by a moral without picking it up, right? But how you attain your salvation, right?
Say it again. Go ahead and say the part again that I need you to say again to prove my point. Go ahead and say it. In order to
But you're
receive
not
your
talking.
salvation, in order to receive your salvation, what? Say the sentence. Finish it.
You
In
have
order to
to
receive your salvation, you have to
confess, believe it in your heart, right?
right.
That Christ.
So we're here finally.
But
Right.
that's
So that was my whole point in the beginning, right? So in order to receive the everlasting life, you have to believe, confess, and allow out your mouth. I don't understand what we was going through all this.
right. But I'm saying, but
So
you
like I
said,
said, come on, Himmy, come on. Everybody knew you was gonna get there because everybody know what Christianity is. We
but
all
this is,
knew you was gonna end up there because you have to believe
but
in
you're
Jesus
talking about
to see heaven.
salvation,
You have to believe in Jesus in order to see the
and it
Father.
says that
The only way
every
to the Father
tongue.
is through me.
What else does the
I'm
Bible
wired
say?
to. Okay, I'm gonna shut up for a second and let you cook, bro. You go ahead and
Excuse
preach
me.
to the people.
Can we get back on topic?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Preach to the people.
I didn't want to talk about the Bible. I wanted to talk about the topic, but because I'm a Christian, he keeps going to the Bible. I gave him an example that he can use that
Well, the
wasn't.
Bible is part of the topic, but
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah.
yeah.
Get back to your debate, man.
No, go ahead. Come on. What else did you want to say about
I
how
think you guys
nobody
are
understands
having
Christianity?
I made one point about what Garvey said. That was my only thing. But
Okay.
you can continue your breakdown. Yeah.
All right. Right. So everybody knows that Christianity at its core means you have to believe that Jesus is the way, and only way to the Father is through him. And you do have to confess, just like, as a matter of fact, like, because I got a slide on that too. We hadn't gotten there yet, but I'll jump ahead. Um, you know what I mean? Like I said, this is common knowledge, like, and that's what I'm saying. Because at some level, believers, specifically at this instance, Christians, believe that, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be a day when everybody's going to have to bend their knee and admit that Jesus is Lord in order for them to be saved to see the next life. Like, I mean, and it's funny that we just had that conversation because that's the typical conversation that, I really have about these type of things. You know what I'm saying? Because it can't be what we all know to be the truth. It's got to be something else. When in reality, we know what it is, right? And like I said, I had that thing up on the screen for me. I'm looking for this one slide right now. But the death of the gods is what I had up on the screen. And the reason I had that up on the screen for a while was because that's the thing where the people talk about, they kept their Christianity, or no, they kept their traditional African beliefs, throughout slavery. When in reality, they really didn't, though, right? They really didn't, and they couldn't because in Ifa, like they try to compare the ring dance or the ring prayer, right, or the ring shout to African spirituality, but there really is no comparing the two. And as a matter of fact, if someone a enslaved person, believed that you was genuinely doing African practices when you would shout, if you wasn't possessed by the Holy Spirit from the Bible, if you was talking about you was possessed by Ogun, you would be subject to getting either punishment or death. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, I sort of got thrown off with my slides here, but I have their own words, like from the slave narratives, when they told you that they was trying to separate from African practices because that is of the devil. Okay, here's the first thing I was looking for, right? And I'll zoom in so people can see it, right? This was one of my favorite songs back in the day, right? And the intro didn't even bother me when I was Christian, didn't even make me flinch at the time. But now looking back on it, it's wildly aggressive. The hubris in this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? The arrogance in this is crazy. We don't want to say the name Jesus because we don't want to offend the Muslims or the Jews or the Arabs. But there will come a day when every Muslim, every Buddhist, every Jew will have to bow down and confess the name of Jesus. Like you just said it to me. In order for people to receive anybody, to receive their salvation, even the ones who didn't even get the book yet, they have to run into one of y'all believers and be introduced to it. You know what I mean? And ignorance of it is not necessarily a pass. You know what I mean? And we don't, mind you, we don't know either way if people are being saved or not. We do know what's happening to them on the planet, though. We do know that people are getting killed because they lack a belief in the thing that other people believe over there. You know what I'm saying? We know this to be the fact. You know what I'm saying? They use the Bible to show you that it's true. You know what I mean? So this gang thing here. My bad. Was there any other questions on the other stuff that we just talking about, honey? I don't know if you see anything in the chat or whatever.
Did you just expose me?
What'd you say?
I didn't see any other questions.
Okay.
You kind of were answering them as you guys were going.
All right, that's excellent. So, this part right of the debate right here was a little bit satire, but it is true, right? So I was doing this a little bit as a joke, partially because my last opponent was mad that I used rap lyrics when I beat him, and so I made sure I used made sure I used gospel and rap for it this time. But yeah, so we had a conversation earlier, me and a couple of the barbarians. We was talking about gang culture, right? Now, Black folks one of the statements that was made was, a lot of if you black and you're in the hood, you're gonna know somebody else from going with some gang business. That's anybody that's listening right now. Don't you know that all of those people believe in something as a higher power? I mean, don't you know it? Like when you talk to them, they talk about Jesus all the time. They talk about Muslim, all the time. Right? Like it happens because people at their core believe a thing, and some in the Christian side at least believe that they can be forgiven if they ask for forgiveness, and the other beliefs, at some level they believe they're just justified for the drama that they do. And this was Honey's favorite slide right here because we noticed that somebody wasn't really paying attention. I can go into no details, but it's funny. You know what I'm saying? But we can't act like a lot of, of our gang culture ain't pushed through this industry. And knowing how the industry is, knowing about all this, secret business, Hollywood parties and all this other stuff, how we got a problem with all of those things, but we don't see that they're also feeding us a lot of this religious doctrine as well. You know what I mean? This one right here was funny to me specifically, and I know people didn't really catch it in the debate, so I'm trying to zoom in on this joint. But you see this quote from RZA from Wu-Tang right here, right? And at the time he said about 80% of hip hop comes from the 5%. Now that's funny because people don't even realize how many artists are 5%. And I was going to name this section of my debate from Parliament to Wu-Tang because if you know, Parliament, people, All Stars, George Clinton, and all them boys, you know what I'm saying? They had the mothership in the same way that the Nation of Islam has the wheel. In the same way that, well, listen, so the 5% Nation falls under that same thing. I was going to say, I was saying, in the same way that Scientology has the spaceship that's supposed to come back. And that's why Scientology and Nation of Islam is linked up, right? Which is crazy. But all of it can be pushed through music. Now, we was talking earlier on the call about how music is medicine. And I was going to jump in and say to them, anesthesia is also considered a medicine. And it can put you to sleep. You know what I'm saying? And the brother was saying it can send you messages. Right? It can, you know what I'm saying? You never, there's vibrations. Right. All right. So now, is there any questions about the gang and music industry? Or prison and music industry influence on belief and its destructive power on the collective Black identity? Non-believers will come out. Okay, Rastafari. I thought this was a pretty obvious and easy one. Let me make sure I just look at it. Yeah. I thought this was a pretty obvious and easy one. I mean, just like Christianity, they got multiple what they call mansions. Again, this was a pretty easy one to look at the differences that they have amongst each other. However, the more important part is you see here from the very beginning, when Rasta was introduced to Jamaica, right? It was opposed by mainstream society, and those are believers. And so, like, I get the point that the brother was trying to make as far as, is Muslims and different people who hold that as a Black identity, but in reality, most of them really don't. It's really an identity to that God and that God belief. But here you have a unique situation where there was considerably a new belief system, right? But they're tied to an old one. And the Black Christians at the time were so offended by this belief that they was, killing people. They locked them up and killed them. You know what I'm saying? In fact, that's where the term dreadlock comes from, because the opposition to the white European standard of beauty was dreaded by the Europeans. And therefore, the believers, Black believers, would just in the same way that the Black believers stood up and attacked Mandisa publicly, right? It was worse down there for the Rastas because, you know what I'm saying, the entire country damn near was against them. To this day, they still got beef in the street, right? They still look down on, you know what I'm saying, discriminated against to a point, ostracized, and they do it to themselves depending on what side of the fence you want. right? And the one key point here, that's why I titled it "Only Rasta Can Liberate the People," because that's that's the belief. The belief is if you black and you know what I'm saying, you understand the oppression that we have worldwide, that you should be Rasta. You should be thinking about black liberation, which is I agree with that part of it. But they saying that's the only way. And so immediately off of that, anybody, Himmy definitely don't believe that Rasta is the only way, right? I mean, matter of fact, Himmy, you still there? Do you believe that Rasta is the only way to liberate the people?
No.
Right. Which is an immediate division between mainstream Christians and Rastafari. Right. So, like, that's like I said, that's pretty self-explanatory. I sort of rushed through this right here. I'm not really going to even go on it too hard right now, but Black Hindus, again, the reason people don't know about Black Hindus is because they have a separation policy. It's called the renunciate stage. You may never know. They might be practicing Hindu, and you would never know. Right? As a matter of fact, I just found out that somebody was a Hindu, Black Hindu, recently in our circles, but y'all may never find out. Right? Because that's not, they hold those doctrines back for fear of, ostracism, because Black folks, we are worse when it comes to that. And it does destroy our Black identity. It keeps it. Somebody kept saying, well, division doesn't mean destruction. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's why I made sure I made these images the way I did, because if you have a stone structure, division in the stone is obviously going to weaken the stone. So I don't understand how people can even get to, well, oh yeah, that's division, but that don't mean that it's weakening it. Like, that's just dumb. Like, if the concrete on a building starts to weaken, starts to divide, trust me, it's going to weaken it. Same thing with the Buddhists, you know what I'm saying? I made a joke about Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. If he was alive back in the 90s and he was watching that movie with Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? We was all saying that after that movie went on. But again, we got the Black Buddhist Southern Queen here, right? So that's double whammy, right? Hey, Himmy, you still there?
I'm here. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can now. So, what do you think about the brother who is a Black Buddhist, but he's also gay, and he wants to save he wants to free you from suffering?
What do you mean? What do I think about him? What am I supposed to think about him?
I don't know. What you think? I mean, if you don't think nothing, you can say nothing. But clearly, you think something. So, what you want? We're gonna say it.
I don't think nothing. I don't. This is my first time seeing this brother, because you put is
yeah.
Well, not my first time. I've seen in your debate, but this is the I don't think nothing of him. So I was supposed to be something negative.
Oh, no. It's definitely not. But as a matter of fact, we just had that conversation as well. In fact, Tiffany brought up how Black folks in general are a little homophobic, you know what I'm saying, on a large scale. And I pointed out that it is due to religion. Right?
No,
that's just
using homophobic is I do not like that term, because there's some stuff that I don't agree with and I don't subscribe to, but it don't create a phobia. You know what I'm saying? I just don't subscribe to and agree with it. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
So yeah,
so not homophobia. You're not afraid of them.
No, I talk to gay people. I've interacted with. That's pause. That sounds crazy.
You should even have said pause. But what do Lama Rod got to do in order to get into heaven?
The same thing everybody else has to do. You see what I'm saying? If you read it, but if you read, and so everybody would get that opportunity, man. And it says that in Revelations, you said 21 or 22 is one of them, right? I'm just off the dome right now because it's show live, but when it talks about who will go into the lake of fire burning with brimstone, it says the liars, the fearful, the non-believers, the abominers, the adulterers. So it's not just about gay people, you know what I'm saying? It's about all these people who if you lie, you steal, you kill, you're afraid to walk in your faith. All those people are the same in God's eyes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The issue, right now, hyper focus now on the non-believers part for a second, because they was definitely on that list, right? Now, I have had a couple conversations with folks who will tell me that the non-believers in that book is not talking about atheists, because there's no such thing as atheists. So those was just people who didn't believe in what they talking about in Revelation. Now, either way, people who don't believe that book are destined to be with the thieves, the liars, the killers, etc. Right?
Mhm. Yeah, so you said two different points though. You said that someone told you that there's no such thing as an atheist.
So non-believers in that passage you just read, or that you just mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those people, the non-believers, will be put in the same situation or in the same category as thieves, liars, and killers, correct?
Right, and also fearful. The
Right.
fearful. That those are believers who are fearful as well. So
Right.
it's,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. But again, the non-believers point is what we're focusing on. So those people will be added to the list with people who are killers, thieves, and liars.
Yes,
For the crime.
but it's not just non-believers. It's even so.
No, I know.
Remember when Christ said there will be many people who will call him Lord, Lord, and he will say that he don't recognize them.
Yes.
What that mean to you?
I mean, it means exactly what it says.
Right. So that's what it's saying in the same thing in Revelation is they may believe in Christ, right? They may believe in Christ, but they are fearful. So they don't walk in their faith completely. They hide. They agree with, they take on the world. They agree with, you know what I'm saying? They're afraid to speak up when stuff. So you're just as bad as right. So it's not just about whether you believe or not. It's about your action. It's about how you. Yeah, I understand that's what you're talking about, but my point is when you try to focus on it just being about belief or non-belief, that is not for Christianity. As far as Christianity goes, that's not the complete narrative, bro. It's not just about whether you believe or not. It's about how you.
Right. Hold on, because you're getting too far away from the thing. Because that's all we're talking about here is whether or not belief does a thing or not. But you said also just now, you made a good point. It's also if you take on the ways of the world. What do that mean? Do that mean take on all the bad things, or that mean take on the good things that other people are doing too, but it's just not prescribed by the book?
Nah, it's the bad things. Ain't the taking on the ways of the world ain't good. Because it's about your relationship with God, man. You trust everything except God. That's what it's about.
That's not true.
That's why I said
birthday parties. So a birthday party.
What's not true?
Is a birthday. You said I trust everything except God. I said that's
not you. I wouldn't talk about you.
Okay,
I wasn't talking about you. I was just making a statement about what we're talking about. I'm saying the narrative it's about trust, but it is. It's about the thing is about because when people listen earlier.
Let's focus on taking on the ways of the world. No, because I'm going far away.
Because earlier in the birthday, you can't keep asking me questions, and because I don't answer them how you don't like, you try to.
I should stay focused. What about birthday?
I am focused. I'm trying to answer your question, but every time I try to answer, you reshape the question, reframe it, so that because I didn't answer it the way that you liked.
All right, go ahead and say the things.
No, so earlier, remember we were talking about that how some people question why does God let this happen, or why does this or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. People don't trust God. Right? They trust the world. They trust man's logic. They trust their own understanding. Trust in God, meaning submitting to his will, submitting to his power, and trusting and believing that he won't let you fall. People don't do that because I got my heart broke, so now I'm mad at God. Right? I lost my brother, I lost my mother, I lost my grandmother, I lost family members, so now I'm mad at God. There is no trust there. That is the main narrative. It's about trusting God. Yes, some bad things will happen, right? Because we live in a wicked world. But do we trust God to save us eternally? That's the whole narrative, bro. It ain't about nothing else.
Working back,
That's my point.
why would we trust anybody to do anything internally that they can't do right now?
Listen, man, trauma is a mug, bro.
Hold on.
Everybody, most of us have trust
I'll
issues.
I'll let you talk.
I thought you asked me a
Why
question.
would I put my trust in? No, this is rhetorical because it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. Why would I put my trust in a thing or a being that's wholly unproven to be able to do anything, period, without any words around it, anything? It's been proven to do nothing. We're going to have to put our faith in this thing because somebody told us that it might do something eternal. Why would I? What is the reason I wouldn't put faith in that? And there is
that's your stance.
Hold on. So now going backwards, we're gonna work backwards. Going back to what we originally said, you know what I'm saying, was taking on ways of the world. And I asked you negative or positive. You said just the negative. So I said,
no, I didn't. I didn't say nothing about negative. I said it's taking on the ways of the world, period, and not trusting God. That's how we got on trusting God. I didn't say nothing about negative.
I said specifically. So that means taking on the negatives or the positive ways.
And I said no. It's not about negative or positive. It's about trusting the worldly things and not trusting God. That was my response to you. That's how we got on trusting God.
What about birthday parties?
What about them?
What? Can you hear me? What about birthday parties?
What about them?
Himmy, can you hear me?
I said, you said, what about birthday parties? I said, what about them? What are you asking me about birthday parties?
That is a way of the world. That is a way of the world. Is it okay to take that on or no?
No, it's not okay to take that on over God. What do you mean?
Not over God, period. I'm saying period. Don't add nothing else to it. Birthday parties are a way of the world. Is that prescribed by the Bible or condemned by the Bible?
What? Putting anything over God is what the Bible talks about. It's not about not living life. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If the Bible doesn't tell you can't live,
honey,
it says
you got your research tappers out? Yo. Find out for me, please. Are you still there, honey? I need the answer to that. Are birthday parties prescribed by the Bible or condemned by the Bible?
Bro, they got feasts, all kind of shit. Like, what are you talking about?
They sure do. They definitely got feasts.
Birthday parties, I don't think birthday parties are condemned, but every time a birthday party was mentioned in the Bible, it was something that bad that happened.
Right.
That was the only thing, because I think that's the only reason.
Not supposed to.
That's why Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate those holidays. Right. But I don't think that it's condemned though to celebrate your birthday.
Look at observing years. I think that's what it's called, because you're not supposed to celebrate your birthday. That's obvious. We all know that to be true. 1,000%. Moving forward, what about Christmas? Bro,
I just told you any pagan worship, right? If I put if it's about
what if you put God first?
Listen to what God first. Listen to so then there's no issue. If God is first in everything you do, then there's no issue. It says that. The Bible says that. In a matter of all things you do, as long as you put God first, that's fine. It's not about what you're doing, it's about how you're doing it and why you're doing it. So if I'm celebrating Christmas because I believe if I put this tree up, I believe if I put a mistletoe up and I find my love and I'm kissing, I'm trusting all these worldly things and I'm not trusting God. God wants us to trust and love him, period. That's it.
Okay. You good? Did you want to say anything else?
No, I answered your question.
Excellent. Now, you said put God first. Trust in the Bible first. Now, if I don't put that God first, you just proved the point that at some level, you as a Christian do not feel connected with the person. You do feel like that person needs to still grow, needs to get to a place first, doesn't quite understand things, isn't on the right side of the wall, is playing for the wrong team, should be doing better with his life, should have a better understanding of things, hasn't studied it, hasn't prayed hard enough for discernment. All of those things that I said, whether you realize it or not, is highly disrespectful and rude to someone who's paying attention to what it really is. Because what you're saying to some, like I just had this slide up there. You saying to the Muslims and the Jews and the non-believers like myself that everything that our whole life, whatever we thought, whatever we studied, our experiences, our whole whatever is incorrect. It will be proven so.
No, you keep trying to put it on non-believers and other religions. If I am a believer and there's another believer who may be further in his walk, that may understand more, that may have studied longer, they got a better. It's not about whether you believe or not. I keep saying this over and over again. It's not about whether you believe or don't believe. It's about your ways. I'm not perfect. I struggle too. So I'm not better than the non-believer. You see what I'm saying? As long as I got flesh and I'm saying, no, I never said I was better than nobody. You keep saying
I didn't say you did. No, what I said was you said.
But that's what you keep insinuating, right? So what I'm saying is that, listen. What I'm saying is that God is working on me currently. You understand what I'm saying? Currently. Anybody who knows me knows I struggle out loud in front of everybody. You can see my wicked ways. You can see my downfalls. You can see my sins or whatever out loud. I'm not afraid to hide it. So I'm not perfect than nobody. I'm not better than anybody. You see what I'm saying? But I trust in God. That's what I'm saying. It's not about me being better. It's about me trusting.
No, but you don't understand what I'm saying, bro. This is the fun. You really don't understand what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
I'm saying you are accidentally, inadvertent, unaware, being sort of condescending to people who don't believe what you believe.
But I'm not.
Listen. When you say put the Christian God first, you're supposed to put that first. You got to put God first. What are you saying to somebody who don't believe that?
Oh,
what are you saying?
I don't just listen.
No. Stop this. Wait, you answering too fast. You could not have contemplated it. Think about what you're saying.
I don't have to contemplate, bro. I got a mind. I'm not slow. I heard exactly what you said.
When you say put God first, when you telling me to put God first, what you mean?
Trust in God.
I don't believe in the God that you're talking about.
You don't believe in any God.
You're right, but specifically the one that you talk about. So now what?
So what I'm saying is I don't think there's a different God. I think there's one creator. Okay? I think there's many religions, one creator, period.
How do you get to the creator that you believe in? Is Jesus the way, the truth, and the light, and the only way to the Father, or no? So the Judeo-Christian belief is what you have. It's not just
that
about
don't mean I'm putting nobody
in Yahweh and
what
Jesus
I'm saying.
as his son. And
you saying me having a belief is putting someone down. I listen what I'm saying. I interact with people outside of my faith on the daily. Anybody who knows me knows I don't put nobody down. Just because I may tell you, hey, study this. Hey, man,
you're not listening, Himmy.
You're not listening. You keep saying I'm inadvertently putting people down.
Right, because you're not. You genuinely doing it right now because you're not even listening to me right now, telling you that what you're saying is not what I'm saying. Can you see the screen right now?
I just told you what you said. You said I'm inadvertently putting people down.
Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Philippians 2:10-11. Can you read that out loud, please?
You read it. It's your show.
I just asked, you can't. Can you see it or not?
I can see it, but I want you to read it.
I'm making sure that you can read that it is actually coming from the Bible. Philippians 2:10-11. It says that at the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Now, if perchance I do not believe that that is the case, we just went over it like 36 times. What's prescribed for me? I will be put in the place where the thieves, killers, and liars will be according to your belief system. And you believe that, fam. You believe that I will
that verse is not about belief. That verse is not about. No, I'm correcting you. That verse is not about belief. That verse is a statement. That verse is a. Listen to what I'm saying. That verse is a statement. That's saying that will happen. That every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. It won't be right. So that's not about whether you believe. You cannot believe that right now until the day you die. Right? You cannot believe that. But
you really don't
Listen to what I'm
You
saying.
you can hear. I want you to listen to what you're saying. You cannot believe your whole life, but you're gonna find out that you're wrong at the end. Do you hear what you're saying, fam? You don't hear what you're saying.
So how is that me putting someone? I said, you said this verse. I'm telling you, this verse is not about whether you believe or not. That verse is a statement telling you that every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is the Lord. Right? That's not about whether you. So you cannot believe all you want.
Slow down, Himmy. Slow down. That means you cannot believe your entire life. And at the end, you will find out that you were wrong. I'm gonna say that one more time, Himmy, because I don't think you hear me, bro.
I hear you, but so how does that correlate?
Hold on,
to
slow down,
putting
slow down,
someone down?
slow down, slow down, slow down. I'm gonna say it again because you said yeah way too fast. You're not paying attention.
I am. Stop saying that.
I can get. You see how it feels? Right. I'm not
That's
telling what I was trying to get to. No. That's exactly what I was trying to get to because the feeling that you felt right there. Listen. The feeling that you just had right there when you said, I'm hearing you, stop telling me I'm not, is the feeling that we have when we don't believe you and you keep telling me that I'm wrong my whole life and I'm going to find out at the end.
I'm not telling you nothing right now. Listen what I'm saying.
You answer too fast, bro. You're not thinking about what I'm saying.
The only time, Pan, you are an atheist. I've never came to you. Listen to what I'm saying. Pan, the only time we have these conversations, listen to what I'm. Do not listen to what I'm saying.
I need you to.
The only time we have these conversations is when you open the door for them, right? I don't come to you as an. I don't go seek out. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. No, because you're making statements that aren't true. I don't seek out atheists.
You don't gotta go this far. Slow down.
No, bro, because you keep saying stuff. When I correct you, you try to act like. I am responding to what you're saying.
No,
I'm responding directly to what you're saying.
What you are telling me and the people that are listening is that we can live our whole life, no matter what we believe, Buddhist, Jewish, Islam, no matter what. At the end, we all will find out that we were wrong.
According to scripture.
You need to understand that is insulting. You need to understand
that's not insulting. What are you talking? How is that insulting? If you have knowledge, stop it. Now having knowledge of something is insulting. If you know something, stop, Pan. If you know something that I don't, right? You know something for a fact, right? That I don't. If you know 1 + 1 = 2, right? And I'm saying 1 + 1 = 3. I'm wrong. And you tell me that you can believe that you can have your belief. But when it's all said and done, you're going to find out that 1 + 1 = 2. How the hell is that insulting to anybody?
You really don't hear that. Let me show you how it's insulting. Before I start, I'm going to let you get a chance. If there's anything that you wanted to interrupt me with, you can say it now.
I want you to answer my question.
Okay. If you got anything else you want to say to interrupt me, go ahead and say it now.
Answer my question.
All right. Now, I'm going to show you how it's insulting. If a Hindu said, at the end of times, all of you people believing in Yahweh, Allah, Jesus, you all will come to the understanding that Krishna was the truth. You wasting your time doing all the things you're doing. You will confess at the end that Krishna was the truth. How would you feel about that, Himmy?
I wouldn't feel insulted because I know what I know to be true. That's what I'm telling you. It's not insulting that he holds. It's not insulting to me that he holds his belief. Okay, you're trying to say because he has his belief.
There's no reason for you to be relaxed. So no, you're not. No, you're not. And so let me ask you the next question. You wouldn't feel insulted. Hold on. Relax. I haven't asked it yet. You wouldn't feel insulted, but do you recognize the insult?
No, it's not an insult. People can hold whatever opinions can be held by anybody. I'm not insulted because people have. Listen to what I'm saying. We need to stop this. This is what's this is the problem. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not insulted by anybody having an opinion or a belief. Listen to what I am. But you keep asking me questions, and when I respond and you don't like my answer, you act like I'm doing something wrong.
Go ahead.
I am not insulted by anybody who holds whatever belief they hold. They have that right to do so. They have a choice to do so. It doesn't insult me because what insults me is what people try to impose. When people try to tell me I'm stupid, when people try to tell me I'm dumb. Me as a Christian, I don't do that to nobody. I don't tell you you're stupid. I don't tell you you're dumb just because you don't believe what I believe in. I say you can hold your belief. We'll find out who's right in the end. That's it. That's not insulting at all. I wait for people to invite me to have the conversation with them. I don't go seek out atheists.
You finished?
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly everybody listening to this can obviously see the contradiction and the obvious nonsense that's happening right now. Because the reality of it is, if you tell somebody that their entire life's belief was wrong and that they're gonna find out that your truth, your facts is gonna be true in the end, it's
by that logic, you as an atheist. By that logic, you as an atheist.
Pause out, bro. Okay, pause out. You said it.
No, ain't no pause up. By that logic, you as an atheist insult all believers every time you tell us that God doesn't exist.
I never said that to you.
Yo, this got to stop. You said God doesn't exist. Every conversation we have, you say that God doesn't exist.
What you gonna have
does
to do
God
now?
exist? Yes or no? Okay. Does God exist? Yes or no? Does God exist? Yes or no? Does God exist? Yes or no? Because we're not going to play these games. Does God exist? Yes or no, man?
Understand. First of all,
does God exist? Yes or no, Pan?
It's not a yes or no question. If it don't, none of y'all know.
It is a yes or no question.
No, if you don't, nobody know.
No, but you're an atheist because you don't believe a God exists.
Until you know, everybody can stop acting like you do. Show me. Until
I do know.
I do know. And that's the thing.
But that's not insulting. But listen to what I'm saying. But that's not insulting, right? That statement that you just told me, right? I don't know. I said I know. You said no, you don't. Right? That's not insulting. But if I try to tell you that my God exists, now I'm insulting your atheism.
No,
get out of here with that weak stuff. Man, that's weak.
Yo. Okay, can you pause?
It's one way. You're trying to say no. You're trying to say it one way for believers. You're trying to say if believers say that if a believer say that a non-believer will find out that our truth is the truth, then that's insulting to your belief. But you can say that your truth, it is what it is, and I will find out in the end. But that's not insulting to me. Make it make sense. You can't have it both ways, bro.
Honey, you just let me know when I can talk, since I'm gonna let homeboy cook.
Stop asking me questions if you don't want me to talk. Just do your show.
All right, guys. So we got a couple more people here on the panel. We got Cheetah, we got the Librarian Barbarian, and Queen Cheetah, Librarian Barbarian, and K-Board Equality. I think that's Marlon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
To enter everybody into the combo. Hi, everybody.
Peace and blessing.
Yo.
So just real quick before the rest of them start cooking this shit.
Yeah.
When I say so just real quick before the rest of them what's happening? We good? All right. So my first debate and the debate that I had before this one with LP. I actually signed both of my opponents up for a $750,000 million award if they were able to prove any supernatural claim, specifically their God. Right now, at any given time, anybody can holler at me. I'll put their names on them applications too, and we can see what's good if they decide that they want to show me that they have a fact about one of their gods. Until that point, I'm going to remain an atheist because any God that's omnipotent can show the world at one moment that it exists, how to deal with him and how to deal with the people that it's supposed to be had created. Until that point, what is the point? There isn't one. When I say that I don't believe in those things and nobody knows it until somebody can show it, I'm right. Now, when folks say that they have a fact and that their belief is 100% true and the rest of the world will figure out at the end times, yeah, I'm going to have questions about that. As a matter of fact, Brother Marlon right now has a completely different view of the God situation, right? And just like a Muslim will have a completely different view. To tell them that their God is false, right? And they'll find out when Jesus comes back is insulting. And it's unintentionally insulting, maybe. But once you realize it, especially once you hear me say it, and to continue to do it is tricky because you know it at this point, whether you admit it or not. So I guess I'll pause. I'll let folks ask questions. I did have more slides we can go to. That's up to y'all.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Nah, somebody, whoever, if y'all came up and y'all had a question, go ahead. Y'all can say it.
What's the question?
If y'all came up and y'all had a question, go ahead. Y'all can say it.
So
What's the question? What's the question?
I think because we had
If y'all came up and y'all had a question, go ahead. Y'all can
so
What's the question? What's the question?
I think the purpose I think that we got off topic was that how anybody's belief, whether it's Christian, Buddha, Hindu, whatever, is it helping us as a collective or if it's weakening us as a collective? And
Right.
the purpose of Pan getting up here was to show his side that it does weaken us as a collective. And this right here is also proving that this is weakening us as a collective. And this is not an attack on, I forget who was just talking with Pan. I think it was Himmy. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But whoever the Christian gentleman is, you got so caught up on the Bible and you just are so stuck in your belief. And when you get stuck in your belief, you are discrediting everyone else's belief, Islam, Jews, and everyone else. So what we're saying is that, as much as you'll say that atheists don't do this or we don't want to see this, what we're saying is, regardless of your belief, we are a collective. We are all black, we're of different shades. When they see us as black. They're not asking us if we are Jews, Hindus, Islams, Kemits. They're not asking any of that. Shoot first, ask questions later is their motto. And so that is our end goal, is to better ourselves as whole. And how are we going to do that? Is the follow-up question. Has belief helped us to further equality and further us as a collective? But right now, what we're doing is remaining divided. And what we should be doing is saying, okay, well, you know what? This is great. You believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. That's fine. Let's move forward. Let's now discuss, okay, you know what? Well, I'm going to do this here in my community. And this has worked for us. Maybe y'all can try this and this will work for y'all community, or we can get other tips from that person, and so on and so forth. Because it's like a snowball effect. Whatever I should do, the next person should, take heed and pick that up, and then it should just continue and be continuous, the domino effect, right?
Can I respond to Queen Cheetah before anybody else goes? I didn't get stuck on the Bible. That's one. When my first statement to Pan was that he was proving the point that when he mentioned Garvey, that belief in a higher power, right, is where people get their collective identity from, where they get their blackness from, right? By belief in a higher power, regardless of if it's this religion, that religion, they tie their blackness to their belief in that higher power. That was my initial statement. How we got on the Bible is because in Pan's response, he started asking me biblical questions, right? So obviously I'm going to answer him from the biblical perspective, but I wasn't stuck on the Bible. I was on topic. I was talking about the collective black identity, but because Pan understands that I am a Christian, all his questions geared toward me were biblical. So of course my responses are going to be just that. My initial statement was about Garvey and his belief in a higher power and how he tied it to his blackness. So we got here by way of Pan continuing to asking me questions that directly pertain to the Bible. Anytime he asked me questions that didn't pertain to the Bible, he got the answers that he got. I didn't harp on it. I didn't say anybody was less than, nothing like that. So I just wanted to correct that, Queen Cheetah.
Check. Can y'all hear me? Check
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So again, getting back to the topic. Collective black identity and whether things help or hurt. She said, has it helped though? Right now, in the debate, I stopped sharing my screen. But in the debate, we was talking about the civil rights movement and social justice movements and things like that. And actually, honey, you know what? I'm gonna share this one again. Let's go back to that. While I'm pulling this up, if one of y'all had another question or something there or some statement, y'all.
No, go ahead and cook, Pan.
All right. Can you see that? Honey. All right.
There it goes.
So, all right, cool. So the reason we was here was because we was talking about you know what I'm saying, we specifically with the race first thing. Garvey had multiple different belief systems under the UNIA, and the reason I brought that up was because you have to modify your belief in order to unify with Black folks, or unify with other people of non-beliefs. Period. No matter what it is, you have to modify. Because if you genuinely believe that somebody's gonna go to hell, you can't unify for a liberation movement. And you know what I'm saying? Like, here's the verse. It's not like it's it's in real dispute. So just moving forward, where was we at? We've had the so-called blacks, right? So Hebrew Israelites been on the corner for years. I mean, also there's this verse too. Before we go there, we could just show this one more time. You know what I'm saying? We were at the point of Christianity, because I was going through all of the different belief systems. So that's another reason why we was there. But homeboy said out of his own mouth that he came. Do you think that I came to bring peace on earth? No, I came to bring division, and that division is between believers and non-believers, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Certain things are sort of obvious. And so, again, everybody can have a collective, if perchance everybody believed in one higher power, that's fine. But the moment one person said, wait, no, not the sun. What about the sky, though? The sky is bigger. Why is that not the God? That's immediately when you have the problem. And that's why we do focus on the different specifics in different religions, because once you get to the specifics, you find that they are violently different. Now, these gentlemen standing on the corner every weekend, they'll be out there today, telling people that they're not Black. It's an entire movement of them that tell people that they're not Black. So when we say that their belief, you know what I'm saying, causes division and weakens us, I mean, it's obvious, right? They're letting you know that not only should you not be calling yourself Black, you shouldn't be unified with so-called filthy, stinking Hamites. Like, let's make sure we see that, right? These people believe that, their belief in a higher power, the discernment that they have, precept upon precept, line upon line. First time I ever heard that was from a Hebrew Israelite, right? Their discernment tells them that they are Mayans and Incas and Aztecs from Argentina, right? And they are not filthy, stinking Hamites. As a matter of fact, never mind. Right? So, like, that's crazy. They'll go as far as to say that they're closer to the white man than they are to the African. You know what I'm saying? That right there, that belief system has permeated us. You see them, how many people they recruit, on a regular basis, that can't wait to not be Black. So this slide, I can't believe it. This slide alone could have killed the entire debate. I do not understand how people can't see how the belief in their higher power and the discernment thereof causes division amongst the Black community. Also, this movement that came out a couple years ago, right? I mean, come on. That's why I didn't even put no words on the slide, because come on, what else do we got to even say? all of that abo business. Now, somebody, I think we was talking earlier, somebody mentioned that people that are abo are not believers or whatever. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Most of them come from a Hebrew background or come from a Hebrew belief, thinking that the Native Americans was the true chosen people of the earth. They was here first, placed here by God, the Lamanite tribe that they get from the Book of Mormon. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is violently against most other belief systems that Black people adhere to. Like violently. You know what I mean? You know what? No, I'm gonna go ahead and stay here. So we always like to talk about the abolitionists and how the abolitionists did this and abolitionists did that. It wasn't just regular Christians that was abolitionists. Most of them was coming from like the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You know what I'm saying? Where they was teaching people that Jesus is white. So when you get to heaven, don't worry about race down here. When you get to heaven, you're gonna be washed clean like Jesus. Like wash clean and be white like Jesus. You know what I mean? White as Christ himself. You see it right there. If y'all need to find it, you can find it right there, page 22, not page 23. Holla. Religion and peace. Yeah, that's tricky. I just showed how people in Nigeria, you know what I'm saying, killing, not only the killing, the Muslims is killing the Christians over there, 15,000 in 2 years. And this was a few years ago. So if we look today, I'm wondering what it might be. You know what I mean? So these Muslims that came over in the slave trade, you know what I mean, had to hide the fact that they was Muslim. You know what I mean? Who did they had to hide it from? Like consider the slaves on the plantation. Who would other slaves have to hide their belief from? It would have to be the house niggas that have already accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior. The shit that these Muslims is preaching is anti that, and they would get snitched on. That's why you barely hear about these Muslims from history, right? Almost written out of history. If this one project didn't save their story, right? And then you hear again. I showed this study. This study right here is this year. This just happened to the point where it's not even published yet, but it happened, right? Saying that Black Christians often distrust American Muslims. Now, I'm not going to ask no questions for fear of getting cussed out, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody must see that this is exactly what I'm talking about. Black Christians harboring secret animosity for people that they're supposed to be sharing the same shit of belief in a higher power with, right? But in reality, they believe in the end time. These silly people, these uninformed people will be shown to be right. And when they see it, they have no choice but to bend the knee and admit that the Christians was right the whole time. Yeah, here you go, showing them having to hide their Muslim practices. Right. So now I see some folks in the chat. Let's see here. Boom. Anybody trying to act like this didn't happen because of differences in belief in that higher power and the discernment thereof is tripping. Right. So when Elijah passed, W.D. Muhammad took over, moved towards Sunni. Now we just had the brother Isa on Paradigm Shift the other day. Shout out to DMG, shout out to the Paradigm Shift family, right? Brother Isa was just telling you how. Now I can't remember which one he was saying was the right one. I think he was saying that Sunni was the right one. No, Shia was the right one. Sunni was the wrong one. Whichever. I can't remember. But the problem was that because somebody had decided back then that Sunni was incorrect or what they were doing in the nation was correct, and it was a problem. It was a problem so bad so that brother Malcolm died. You know what I'm saying? Act like y'all don't think that was belief in a higher power, but we lost one of our most serious people behind this dispute. Again, he was the one that was telling people to leave that shit at home. Morris Science Temple. Now I see a couple. My brother Morris Barbarian is in the building. He can tell you if this is true or not. Right? This is with the interview with the chairman Hopkins Bay and Sheikh Hopkins Bay discussing nationality, right? Black, according to science, means death. That's what that says right there, right? So it's and the Asiatics of America, because we're not black. That conversation has permeated Black America and decimated our collective Black identity. You feel me? Just off the fact that you telling me black means death. Most Black people, because we call ourselves Black in general, most Black people would immediately have a problem with that. What you mean we can't call ourselves Black? What you mean I'm not Black? Going back to that so-called Black starter pack, right? I mean, so like this right here again, this is something else that I cannot believe is not just an obvious thing that that separates us and divides us and causes division amongst our communities. And this is right here. This goes back to that slide with the Wu Tang and the 5%, right? Because the reality of it is when the Wu, and this is how I didn't go back into the depth of this part. But see how they saying, come all ye Asiatics of America. You are not Negroes, right? Oh, where'd it go? Boom. You are not Negroes, right? So anybody pushing that is not telling you that you Black. They telling you that you Asiatic. Now, who was pushing that in the mainstream media? It was the music industry, right? Here you go. Once again, the 5% nation is the reason most people run around, Black folks running around right now, like, yo, what up, God? You know what I'm saying? Yo, this is my seed, right? What up, Earth, right? That's where that come from. And the conversation with that is you not Black, you Asiatic, because Black means death. And this is what I'm saying when I say secret animosity, people holding things inside them. They don't want to talk about these very, very serious fundamental beliefs that's in these belief systems, right? Like that's a fundamental belief that you're not Black, that you're Asiatic. You know what I mean? I know folks are gonna be mad about that joint. I ain't even looking at the comments for this one. I was gonna let that one rock. So let's see here. I'll move through here. But I wanted to make sure I tied that back in because the 5% nation with the Wu-Tang situation is sort of disconnected and disjointed. But trying to bring that back a little bit so people can understand that, you know what I'm saying? The reason I put that all together is because if 80%, according to the RZA, if 80% of music at the time came out of the 5% nation, right? You know what I'm saying? And folks believe in subliminal messaging and spiritual messaging through music, etc., like that. All right, okay, that's fine. How many artists were out there under the 5% nation and secretly hitting you joint? Erica Badu, who told you about she was born underwater, 360 degrees of knowledge, right? She was hitting you with the code. Who else? I mentioned earlier, the Parliament Funkadelics. They was hitting you with code with that mothership business, right? You got the entire Wu Tang. You got Buster Rhymes, right? You got, I can really keep going. It's so many. You'd be surprised how many people in the music industry were 5%ers. He said 80%. That seemed crazy until you really start looking, right? Um, this one was funny. I don't know if everybody caught it. I'm gonna let this go past again, but one person mentioned New Age beliefs one time, and it caused all types of turmoil in our Black community back here in our little debate community, and definitely weakened our collective because folks definitely separated after that bomb drop, right? Um, the conversation with good and bad hair comes directly out of the Bible, right? That doesn't come from Hinduism. That doesn't come from Buddhism, right? Black women covering their hair specifically comes out of some sort of reverence to the man in their life or their master, slave master, and then higher up the God, because your hair should not be shown for some reason, because it's your crown, which is crazy because crowns are meant to be shown. But this is the double talk that you find in these beliefs, right? Um, this one right here was one I really wanted to get into. How we doing with time, honey? Y'all can still hear me? We good?
Yeah, we disagree.
Okay. So, like I said, the brother had Root Consciousness, right? He shared a picture in the group one day showing off this. I don't know if you can see over here his little jacket and pantsuit. I think the shoes he was wearing too came from a friend of his clothing store. So he was trying to share that to advertise his man's clothing store. And one of the Hebrews came in there, couldn't wait to start making jokes about his hair because his hair is long. calling them all types of, disrespectful feminine names and shit like that, right? So where did you get that from, fam? Like, what are you talking about? Men's hair ain't supposed to be long. And then you have the verse right here. It tells you, well, there's 2 verses, right? But then I looked up Geno Jennings talking about it, and he's been getting a big following lately because what he does is he take a literal reading of the book, which actually I get with. Like, even when I was a believer, read it the way it say it, read it. Don't try to add nothing else to it. And it does say, doesn't even nature itself tell you that if a man have long hair, it's a shame unto him? Now, I'm sure there's some side of context and that, but that's what that book says. You know what I mean? And I keep trying to reiterate to people since my first debate on paradigm shift that, at certain points in time, not everybody had all of the books. So it was very possible you only had a piece of it. And if you only had that piece, that's all you could follow. So if you thought that nature itself taught you that man having long hair was a shame, that's what you rocked with. Just like the Hebrew that attacked Brother Heru. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. You know what I mean? This right here, going back to the nation, when Farrakhan was trying to teach people that the essence that their thick nose, thick lips, curly hair was a curse from God. Now, this is what listen, when I say secret animosity, you see how young he look in that picture right there. Okay. And that video probably wasn't supposed to get out, but it's out. He taught that day that the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion. He's talking about the curly hair, thick lips, and thick nose. The disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And he had people in that mosque clapping. Man of God, right? He's a man of God, according to them. So when he says something like this, just because he don't say it in public no more, don't mean that that's not still the doctrine that many feel in their hearts. Right? So now here we got Geno Jennings calling women whores. Right? Now why would he do that? Because of the chains, the bracelets, the mufflers, the bonnets, the ornaments on the legs, the headbands, right? The earrings, the rings, the jewels. That whole conversation is exactly how Black African women dressed in Africa since the dawn of time, right? Now, mind you, their Bible writers may not have known that. I'll give them that. However, they do say that in there. So now, if I'm reading this and I'm thinking that this is the truth from God and I feel discernment has been blessed upon me, rings and nose jewels, changeable suits of apparels, right? Earrings and bracelets. That's a whore. That's a prostitute, according to this. You know what I mean? Like, and people adhere to this, whether they outright say it or not. They feel it in their heart. You know what I mean? That's why the elders did what they did. That's why they still do in the Black church today. The way that they dress, you know what I'm saying? The gloves, the hat, you know what I'm saying? The Black women with the huge church hats. That's all the product of this. And at its core,
Don't you dare wear any red lipstick up in the church or any red lipstick at all, because you're definitely a streetwalker if you do.
You're not supposed to wear no lipstick, period.
And then I was just about to say, technically, you shouldn't be wearing any.
Let's get into that real quick. So, what is the prescribed dress for people that adhere to the Bible? At one time, you look at the Muslim women that wear burqas. There was a burqa style outfit for Christian women. I can't remember what it's called, but the Nestorian Christians that's where they used to do it, and that's where the crisscross happened with the Islam too. But that's different because I think that's where they got it from. But so now, if you're supposed to have your head covered most of the time, Christian women are supposed to be dressed like the Muslim women right now with the burqa the whole night. That's where the idea that the nuns get their dress from.
Right? We don't give reverence to Paul.
I heard somebody say that in one of these joints too.
But he's misquoting Paul. I got my. If I'm able, can I please? Because all of this is just cherry picked nonsense. Samson had long hair, and his power was in his hair. That's biblical, right? Numbers 6 and 5. Honey, I have my screen share. Can you please show it? Because this foolishness got to stop. It just got to. Okay, this is Numbers chapter 6, verse 5. This is Old Testament. It says, all the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled in which he separated himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. So the Bible does not teach that man cannot have long hair. What Paul was doing was criticizing those Romans who said that men who had long hair were effeminate. That's what that was doing. Stop cherry picking scripture to fit your narrative, please.
You finished?
Yes.
That's funny that you would say that he's cherry picking when that's all that y'all
Wait,
do.
hold
is cherry pick.
on, Queen. So that point right there that I made. Okay, we still got mine up.
Yeah. Back up.
Okay, right. So you see that I do have this 6'5" there, right? The reason I had that there is because in this video right here, where Apostle Geno Jennings is pointing out this point, he reads number 6'5" first, and he's saying he's talking to people who still wear dreadlocks now. This is what Geno Jennings' point is, right? He's saying because people with locks talk about you're not supposed to shave the sides of your head or whatever, right? He's saying that was at a particular time. If you was under an oath time, or you was taking whatever it's called, I can't remember what he was saying, but if you was under that oath, whatever, during the time of that oath, you know what I'm saying, you're supposed to shave no razor is supposed to come off your head, right? But after you leave that oath, once you finish with that oath, right, you're going through that process, you're supposed to cut your hair. I mean, you can say that Paul said, and Paul meant, or Paul whatever. What it say right there is, does not even nature itself tell you that if man have long hair, it's a shame unto him. And it is an insult. It is saying that they effeminate because they long hair. That is exactly what I'm saying. I didn't cherry pick nothing. I just repeated what Geno Jennings and the brother Hebrew that came in the chat and attacked Heru said.
You in
This is
fact
not me
did
cherry
cherry
picking.
pick. You in fact did.
Listen, I could
You
cherry
can
pick.
go.
This is
Okay,
not me
honey,
cherry
I got
picking.
my
I'm just showing
screenshot. I'm gonna
people.
show you that you cherry pick.
Hold on.
I'm
I'm gonna let you go. But I want everybody that can hear my voice know that I'm not cherry picking. This is me responding to things that I've seen. And that Heru situation just happened within the last month. Homeboy quoted, he quoted that joint last month. The Hebrew
But
brother came at him when he was trying to share
right,
his
but
clothing
that's
line
twisting
to
of
call him,
scripture, is what I'm trying to explain to you.
hold on, bro, to call him effeminate, just like you said, because of his long hair. Now you go ahead. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
All right, my screen is shared again. I'm about to go to First Corinthians to where you're at and show you that you cherry picked verse 14 to try to make your point.
Remember, that's
Right?
not me cherry picking. I'm just telling you what I saw people say.
Right, but there, okay. So if it wasn't you cherry picking, I won't put it on you. That brother, Hebrew brother, who tried to use this verse to go at Heru, he was cherry picking. All right, and so you used it in your debate in order to make a point. But I'm showing you that has nothing to do. So it says, I'm gonna start at 10. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of God. Judge in yourselves. Is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. You see that? So it's saying that nature, if nature is telling you this is not what God says. This is not how God is coming. So they cherry picked that out of context to try to go at Heru, and that is not what biblical at all. That's my point. It doesn't say that men can't have long hair.
Okay, but yet again, you just proved my point again, though. I'm not sure if you realize it. So the fact that the Hebrew completely felt like he was right because of his discernment in his belief in his higher power, he was able to cause that division. Like, there's no getting around it. It's because he had the belief in the higher power that he was trying to defend it that would cause him to say the thing. If he
But it's
didn't,
his
it wouldn't.
misinterpretation is
It's
the
not. That's
problem, not
listen.
and
Right, but that's
misapplication,
not,
not the
bro.
belief in the higher power,
It
bro.
is
That's
the
what I'm
belief in the higher power that made him think he was right.
okay.
I'm gonna say that again. It is the belief in his higher power that made him think that his discernment was right. Same
It
thing with
was.
Apostle Geno Jennings.
I don't agree though. I think it's just his belief in that book because you can have a belief in like I have a belief in a higher power, and I don't have a book to tell somebody else if it's right or wrong. Right, so it would kind of be his belief in whatever indoctrination he had, not the higher power, because the higher
Except for the
power
fact
didn't
that
tell him nothing about the hair and the like. He was indoctrinating into that. You know what I'm saying? Under whoever used a higher power to get him to that indoctrination.
right, except for the fact that when you ask people, and because I do, I can't wait to ask him this. How do you, and you heard me ask LP, if you ain't never heard me ask nobody else, how do you know that what you believe is correct? They all, and I'm not talking about some of them, I'm talking about all of them, use the word discernment because they believe that their belief in their higher power is so, and their connection in that higher power is so strong that they are going to be correct in that decision and vindicated later if they're wrong,
I
right?
agree with you, Pan, that people you but that's what I'm saying. I think it's the misapplication of text, right? Is people that, like Honey said, are indoctrinated in a certain way, so they push their not only their belief in the higher power, but their indoctrination on people, and it be all over the place. That is what causes the divide. That's why there's a divide. We Hebrew Israelites and Christians study the same book. But the divide is in interpretation, right? Hebrew Israelites throw away some of them throw away the New Testament. They don't want to believe anything about the New Testament, so they call themselves OT only. So they miss a complete rest of the narrative of the Bible, right? There are some Hebrew Israelites that also believe in the whole book, right? The Old Testament and New Testament, but the way that they interpret it, it leans on to their own understanding. So that's why
Right.
I
But
was
you're
telling
jumping
you
through that fast as hell. Why do they believe in different things? Why do you think
because
that is?
of interpretation.
No, no. I mean, but why do you think that they have interpreted it and are comfortable with their interpretation?
Hold on, y'all. I think Marlon is trying to say something.
He is.
Okay,
Oh
but
yeah,
just real quick,
he
let me
on
just say this one thing and I'll shut up.
Wait,
So it is because they believe that they have chosen correctly. Their interpretation and their understanding comes from the discernment that comes from that higher power. You said
um,
Marlon wanted to say something. I'm gonna shut up.
I think Marlon is trying.
I think he on mute if he was trying to talk.
Yeah,
Marlon,
Marlon, you're on mute.
Oh, no. I'm not on mute. I'm not
uh,
on mute. I'm just being respectful to you all and let y'all say what y'all got to say because everything I'm hearing is just sounding real crazy to me because, like I said, I believe so much in the fact that God is real and that the Bible is such a joke because of the way it's written, the things that it says, and the way that it contradicts itself. No real book of knowledge of giving a man none of the 120 lessons that we study go against another. If lesson 19, if the 19th degree says something, the 20th degree goes along with it. There's no parts of it that change up like the Bible.
So
You
show
know what
me
I'm
one
saying?
historical book that isn't disputed, that isn't discriminate. I mean, not disputed, that debated upon by interpretation. Name one historical book that isn't debated upon, and as far as interpretation goes, I'm
Okay,
just
here we go. The
religion,
reason,
just regular history, whatever. Name one that isn't debated on as far as interpretation goes. Go.
okay, I'm gonna say that I can't name one because let me get real with you. We do not need books, bro. You have the most powerful thing in the world, a brain, in which that book that you're reading, those thoughts and ideas or whatever it is, came from somebody else's brain. So it's like taking advice from somebody when you know you should do things the way you're supposed to do them or do something the way you want to do it. And dude says, oh man, do it this way. And you do it that way and it messes up because you should have stuck with your way. That's the same thing with us today. We need to stick with ourselves know ourselves and know who God is. That book, God didn't write you no damn book, man. He gave you a brain. That's more powerful than anything in this world. We write books. A man wrote that book for you to read. And then he says it's the word of God. That's a lie.
But your point before my question was that that you believe that God is real. That's the first thing.
Yes, he is.
Right. But the Bible is complete foolishness because it
Yes, it
contradicts
is.
itself. But the Bible doesn't
The Bible
contradict
doesn't teach you about God.
Listen to what I'm saying. Yes, it does. The Bible doesn't contradict itself. Man interpretation is what creates contradiction. So when I asked you to name one historical book ever in the history of history that there are debates about interpretation, you said you couldn't do it because you understand that man interprets how man wants to interpret. So the books themselves are not the issue. It's man's interpretation.
Right. That's why I said there is no book. You asked about a book throughout history, and there is none. Okay. Because of the fact that you have like I'm gonna say this again, you have a brain. That's the most powerful thing in the world. Once you put your brain to the side to listen to what somebody else is thinking and you don't follow the way of your mind, then you're messing up off top. Everybody wants to be led. Nobody knows how to lead themselves. Hey, tell me how to get over here. You know how to get over there. Why are you asking him? We do not stand on anything, man. We look for people to give us something. Give me the answers. Tell me how to get to heaven. How you even know there is a heaven, bro?
But everything is learned, bro. Everything that we know today is learned. We are learning people. What
yes, but not everything. I'll say that not everything, bro.
What
a lot
do
of
you
stuff.
know today that you didn't learn?
Well, I knew that I exist. I knew that God exists. I know that there's a higher power than us because there's no way that we made the
You
air we
learned that.
breathe.
You didn't know. Somebody told you that because
No,
had
no, no, no,
nobody
no, no, no,
told
no,
you
no.
that,
Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. You know how I know
if
nobody had to tell
nobody
me?
told you that and you didn't hear that from anybody repeating that, you would not know that.
I would say that's part of it, but a large part of it was me, myself, and you too. Everybody realizes this. That's why we accept when we're told, because we can't see the air, but we can breathe it in. It's out there. We can't touch the sun, but we get heat from it. We know it's there because we see it. Those
My
things right there
point is
tell me
that
that somebody else put those things in place and it wasn't us.
my point
We
is that
can't.
you call it sun, air, moon, whatever, because that's what you were taught to call it.
Okay,
so what I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, Cheetah.
No, go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that he's proving my point because he's calling it sun, air, breath, right? All of these things these are words created by man, right? To describe something that already exists. So that's what I mean by everything that we have or that we know is learned, right? We didn't create anything, but we just describe the things that
There you
are
go.
around us.
That's it.
Okay.
So my thing is this, because when we look at YouTube community, whatever, right? We got all of these different beliefs and ideologies, etc. And that Apollo guy in the chat, which I blocked him, so I can't see if he's saying anything right now. But he was saying, what has atheists done, and just keep talking about we haven't done anything for the community or whatever. I would first say this. What has believing in a higher power, or believing that you're not black, or believing that you're indigenous to here, or whatever the case that you believe, what has any of that done for us as a collective? That's my first question. Secondly, he keeps saying that there's no atheists that haven't done anything. Well, he clearly don't know about Hubert Harrison or James Baldwin, Langston Hughes. I'm trying to go off the top of my head here.
It's on the screen. Don't worry.
I'm not even looking at the screen, but thank you for put it up there. I'm reading.
Oh shit! It went up. My phone went up.
She might have dropped off.
No,
Yeah, she might have.
her connection went out or something.
Can y'all still hear me okay?
Yeah, now we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, my bad. My phone must have locked up. So we if you study history, there's lots of atheists that done things for us as a whole. But my thing is, let's look at the Black Panther Party. Some of them believed in a higher power. Some of them may have not. But they were not telling you to get down on your knees and pray. They were about that action. They went out, got suited and booted with they AKs and whatever else, and was out there actually protecting and providing for us. If they did not fucking create the free breakfast, there would be no such thing as WIC right now for women and children to get free food and all of that. So it's not about what you believe. That's the purpose of this whole presentation, is to show that your belief in a higher being, or whatever it is, your mythological belief, has not done anything for us as a whole. And it's doing is keeping us divided. This is a prime example, because here we are debating right now whether or not it's helping or not, when we could be taking this time and putting in a plan and implementing some shit and actually going out and doing it, right? So my thing is to Apollo, if indeed you want to keep saying that atheists haven't done this and atheists haven't done that, that's fucking stupid to say, because it doesn't matter what you believe. It matters on who you are as a person, what you do as a person for your family and your people. And that's it. Because when they come at us, they not asking us if we are fucking believers, if we're atheists, or if they're not asking any of that. Dumb crackers don't give a fuck. Okay, hear me when I say. Let me say that a little bit more. They don't give a fuck on what we believe. So why do we care what we believe? Because at the end of the day, it has shown us for time after time and time and time again that believing does nothing for us. It does nothing. If you want to believe that to save your salvation for when you die, great. Believe that shit at home. What we're saying is right now, we need to come together as a collective. Period. Point blank. That is it. That is all. Everything else.
Basically, you're saying.
Hold on, please. Let me. Go ahead, Marlon. Go ahead.
No, basically, you're saying we should believe in ourselves, then.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, when we are the ones that's doing it right now, all of you believers, when you say, "Oh, thank God I got a job," you still had to be the one to go out there and apply for the jobs. You had to be the one to go to the interview. You had to actually talk to the person that was giving you the interview. You didn't just sit back and pray and say, "God, please give me a job," and then boom, you did nothing but sit on the couch and somebody called you from HR and said, "Hey, I heard God's prayer. He said you was looking for a job. I thought you'd be a perfect candidate."
So
no, you had to do the work.
Hold on. Let me jump in here.
We're seeing in
you
this
are God.
Hold on.
You are the God.
Give me a second, y'all.
Use that same logic we're seeing in disruption.
Give me 10 or 15 minutes, because
I like that.
I want part 2 of this, because we've already been going for like 2 hours. So I do like all you guys' points, but go ahead and go. Yeah, I'm like, just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, we can wrap it up shortly. I just wanted to say one thing to that one last point that she was saying to the brother in the chat, because I see he keeps saying that, and I've heard people say that to me the whole time I came out as a black atheist. Well, show me a black atheist nation, right? What is black atheist? Show me some accomplishments by black atheists. Oh, that's all you got? Is that short list? And you see on the screen right here where it says countries where being atheist can attract the death penalty. And I always hear believers giggling and laughing about the fact that they don't hear more about atheists, right? It's funny. Black atheists. Why don't y'all have a country? He. What have you built, right? The reality of it is, believers who believe in their higher power, in general, are murderers. They the ones that kill people.
Believers
see that on the screen right now.
persecution
Right
too.
now, you
Stop
can
it.
die.
Yeah, I was about to say you can die for your
persecution.
belief as
Who is
well.
talking right now? hold on, honey. What's happening? Who was just trying to say something?
Believers suffer
What?
persecution just as well. What are you talking about?
No, you don't. No, you
That is
absolutely do
false.
not.
Yes, they
Now,
do.
please stop. Just no,
Mercenaries,
no.
like you know, the people who go
Listen
out
to
and
me.
try
Hold
to.
on a second. Time out. No, they absolutely do not. When you're going to try and find the evidence to prove that point, and you're going to realize that no, they absolutely do not. The reality of it is, we atheists have to hide the fact that we atheists so much so that in a majority of the censuses and the statistics that you will read, you're going to find believers who not really believers is atheists who are pretending to be believers because they're afraid of fucking dying. So, and I show you that. I can show you that where 1.5 million Kenyan atheists came out to speak out on the fact that they had to hide that. You know what I'm saying? After the number came out. Right? So no, the only people y'all get believers get persecuted by is other believers.
Yep.
Right?
And
Atheists, huh?
go ahead, because I was just gonna say, just remember too with atheism and them being afraid of coming out, because let's look at it, like you just was pointing out, it's believers that will condemn and kill us for not believing in them. And if you look at believers, they will take a person that will quote unquote do witchcraft and believe in all of that witch shit over a person that don't believe in God. They'll rock with a person that is against their belief, but they at least believe in a higher power, so that's okay. But the moment we say that we don't believe in any imaginary being or a higher power, and oh no, we're such bad people, we got to get killed for it.
We got to be with thieves and criminals. But go ahead, honey. I know you want to wrap it
Well,
up.
let me say, I understand atheism, and I understand the atheists, but only reason I say that I can't fully rock with it is because, like I said, everything around us that we don't control or we have never touched or can't touch, can't make, none of that, it exists. So somebody had to put it there. The air we breathe, the earth we walk on, the sun that shines, ourselves, somebody had to put us here. So that's why I believe in a higher power. But at the same time, I know who God is. I am God. You are God. Everybody is God. There's no way we all walking on this earth and we didn't come through the same system or the same way. We got the same thing that runs us, energy. And you can't see energy. So that's a spirit.
No, you can see energy.
We got
you can prove that.
You can
That's
see it. Yeah, you could see it.
Yeah.
But we can't see it as looking at each other. We can't see it because we covered with skin, muscle, bone, and all that. But believe me, there is energy. There is a system. There's a spirit in this body. Everybody on this planet.
Energy is tangible, though, right? So I can see energy. So it's no need to call that God.
We can't see it with the naked eye, but we can see it. Yeah. Not in our bodies. I'll say that. We can't see the energy in our bodies unless we have a machine or something.
You can see it in your body. That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Okay.
You can see it in your body. You absolutely can. The fact that you get tired when you're hungry, you know what I'm saying? You got energy when you eat, shows you that you can see it. And what I'm saying is, there's no need to call that God. There's no need to call fulfilling your hunger God. There's no need to call your bloodstream God. There's no need to call the wind God. There's no need to call the fucking atmosphere God. It's just you just add an extra word. Right. There's no reason to even say that word. When you say that something had to put all of this stuff here, why would you even believe that? Like, without a religion telling you that, would you come to that conclusion? You know what I'm saying?
Because it exists, because it's here. We didn't put it here. Somebody had to do it.
That's not necessarily true. Some belief system believed that it was always here.
Okay.
Right? So that's where the problem becomes. And see, this is what I'm trying to tell y'all. You really need to start looking at your people. Your people don't all believe the same thing, and you need to start understanding what we believe so we can come together on a real understanding.
Though.
Because listen, there's not every belief system that Black people adhere to says that things started at some point. Some systems say that things were always here, right? So until you have a full understanding of that, you can't even respond to, I don't know what you about to say. You got to understand that system first. You need to understand that there are those systems first. So yes, people have had different belief systems throughout time, but those belief systems have caused division and made us weaker.
Okay, so basically you're saying the Big Bang Theory is the start of everything here. Because you said nobody created it.
I didn't say that at all. I said the opposite, as a matter of fact. I
Okay.
said not everybody believes the beginning of time happened at a beginning of time. Some,
Mhm.
specifically African traditional belief system, believes things were always here. No need for a big bang. No need
Okay.
for a starting point.
Okay,
But
I can
some
understand that.
systems, some belief systems say there was a starting point. Like when they talk about the infinite universe system, you know what I'm saying? That's been in African spirituality for the whole time. You know what I mean? The fact that it was infinite universes, that things was always here. You know what I mean? And until
So
there's some sort of proof that that's not true, I don't give a fuck what somebody else say. Prove it.
So no,
Show me.
but so use logic though. If something always existed, right? Something
Go ahead.
always existed. You try to use logic when it comes to disproving the Abrahamic faith in their God, right? But you saying logically speaking, something could have always existed with no startup. And so how does that make sense?
It had to,
You
it
can't
had
have
to
it
have a
both
point.
ways.
It had to have a point. It had to have
You
a
can't
starting
have
point.
it both
Hold
ways.
on, y'all saying two different things. First of all, for me to acknowledge that African belief systems acknowledge that it's possible for infinite universes or things to have always been here, don't mean I believe them. Somebody gonna have to prove something to me about something. I really don't give a fuck about that. The only reason we even talk about the belief of time is because believers generally bring it up, like Marvin just did, say it had to be a start point.
No, science
And I
teaches
just
you
Yeah,
the
happen,
Big Bang. Science
had
teaches you
to.
the
and I
Big
just
Bang.
have, and I just happen
Science
to
teaches
know,
you the Big Bang, not belief.
Nothing comes from nowhere.
and I just happen to know that other belief systems don't necessarily say that there was a starting point, right?
But science
So,
teaches you the Big Bang, not
right,
belief.
I didn't say that. Right, I didn't bring up the
Mhm.
Big Bang. The two
But
of
I'm
you keep
saying
bringing up
that's a
Big Bang.
starting
I
right
didn't
because
say
you
Big
keep trying
Bang.
to say that
No, I
believers.
said that.
You're trying to say that believers are responsible for the idea that all things were created at a point in time, right? But science teaches the
Mm.
Big.
Right, but
Mm-hmm.
science
So
teaches
even
that the Big Bang.
and there are many atheists, right, who follow that science.
Okay, so science teaches you about the Big Bang that they have no
Mm-hmm.
idea. Listen, make sure y'all hear this. Science teaches you that they have no idea what created the source material that started
Uh-huh.
the Big Bang. They
That's
have
Right.
true.
no fucking
That's
idea.
true.
That's true.
Wait. I don't want nobody, hold on. Don't nobody interrupt me now. Make sure y'all hear me now. Science teaches you that they have no idea where the source material came from that started the Big Bang.
That's
Meaning
true.
that source material could have always been here. Now, I know you may not realize that right now, but that is the case that science teaches.
Yeah,
It-
When it tells me man can't find an answer for a question like that whatever was done has to be greater than him because he can't figure it out, bro.
that's not
No,
true
that's
though.
you
No,
literally saying that's the God
No,
killer. No, bro, are you not listening? That's what the
just
whole
because, hold on,
purpose of
before you
having
go in,
science.
don't even do it yet. Hold on one second.
no,
So,
go
so
ahead.
bro,
So you saying science is the end
just
all be
hold
No, you
all?
on.
said so, hold on. You said science couldn't prove the basis for the Big Bang theory or whatever the case, right?
No, what I said was they have no idea
Mm-hmm.
where the source material came from. They have no
it
idea.
came it came from within the universe.
Okay, so the Big Bang theory did happen. They just don't know where the source material came from.
The source
Not
material came
necessarily.
from within the
Okay, I
universe.
got you. I wasn't listening.
It's
Right.
packaged
So
within the universe.
if believers say logically speaking, right? If we're saying that we believe in a higher power that created all things, right? So using our logic and reasoning, we're saying that source material comes from God. Why is that a problem for
Because
non-believers?
you have to prove that, bro.
No,
And
I
then
said
when you
logic.
say
I said logically. So logic and reason is proof, right?
okay, so let me answer you real quick. And
Just
that's
like
where I'm
with
gonna shut up so
math,
you can go.
you can't go
Listen,
find math, right?
Oh my
But
God.
logically speaking, it makes
but
sense.
okay, logically, you would have to show what it was. Jumping to the conclusion that it was a god or some other knowledgeable being that could manipulate time and matter. That's a conclusion that you jumped to. You have no evidence of that. And until you
All
have
That's
right, so
evidence of that,
so
that's how we
you're
get to
just jumping to a
all. That's
conclusion.
how we get to
Oh
all
my goodness,
conclusions
so
by
let
bro.
using logic and reason, though.
All right,
hey so
Paris,
let's
I'm gonna let you go.
so let's save that particular piece for part two of the show. Definitely, we want presentations from both Himmy and Pan on this topic. And then, let's revisit this. But we got Ankh. Where he just
Well, he
left.
just fell off.
But yeah.
So, so what I was saying was that it's not. It's what I'm seeing the issue here with you guys in closing of this, the issue I see is that it says your device is not connected. Oh wait, there you go.
All right.
He's kind of here.
Yeah, it's like his profile is. There you go.
He's loading.
I'm here. I'm
Mhm.
here.
Hey.
Can I make how y'all doing, man?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's
Hey,
up with the
speak,
Barbarians and the whole Reloaded? What's up with y'all? How y'all doing, man? It's a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's y'all having a good conversation, man. These conversations are stimulating to the ears of the believers and the non-believers. And so as we look for scientific literacy, there are certain answers that we might not be aware of. And what I would say is about the universe and the brother that's saying, well, since if we don't know what it is, and all of a sudden it has to be a supernatural thing, that's not actually reality, because no one ever says that we know everything. And science never makes such a claim. Well, what Will say about the universe is actually a closed system. And what a closed system is, meaning nothing can come in and nothing can come out. So all the material needed for the Big Bang was already here. So when they talk about the time period, they're talking about when it started to expand 13.7 billion years ago. That's the expansion of it. Not the creation of it, not the nothing, but the expansion of it. So we should not argue from places of misunderstanding. We're talking about the universe. It's a book away. It's a great podcast away. So you shouldn't just stand up strong and tall and not having all the evidence right. Like reading biblical material, I wouldn't holler and scream about Moses until I understood what the biblical narrative was talking about Moses. Because you would come back and say, wait a minute, Moses wasn't from Baltimore, Maryland. He was from the Ur Chaldees. And then at that point, I would have to say, you know what, bro, you got me. So based off what you now know about the universe, now what you got to say? Made you think a little bit, right? All right, there you go. There you have it.
Most definitely.
There you have it.
Because I mean, like I said, the question we all want answers to is, what's the point? Where do we start from?
You
Who
make the
brought
point.
us here? How did we get here? How did the universe get here?
Well,
How
you
did the
can
earth
make
get
the
here?
point.
You know,
You can make your point.
right.
You could follow. You could create your own mythology, like coaches did,
Mm-hmm.
and come with a cultural answer for why we here, how we got here, or you can look to the universal thing, meaning over time, coming from early cosmology and different cultures, right? Humans moved towards empirical evidence. Took 350,000 years to get there to make those differences. Okay, for instance, if I was to talk about Charles Darwin and evolution, then when he first said it, they thought he was a nut. Why? Because European countries and those that have been conquered by European countries, or those that have been conquered by Muslim countries, or dealt with traders from Judaism, thought it was either Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, right? In the Garden of Eden, right? They look to the biblical narrative and Quranic narratives to say how the universe came to be and how humans came to be. That idea that Charles Darwin threw out there, it shook the very foundation, right, of what humans was thinking. So much so that Charles Darwin didn't even put out his theory until 25 years later, because he was embarrassed. He's embarrassed at the same conversation that we are embarrassed around our parents when we talk about these things. He was afraid.
Yeah,
all right. So yeah, so it's just important to know, man, that how you believe and what you believe, man, that's your personal thing. So you could be a Christian, Muslim, and Jew and still recognize science. And I think African Americans need to know that man, people do it all the time, bro. They scientists and believe in God.
Right. So
you know what I'm saying? So it shouldn't affect your.
I got you. You're making sense, huh? You're making sense.
So, and this is my point, though, Aunt, right? You said that the matter and all that stuff that needed to expand, right, that caused the Big Bang was already there.
Yeah,
right?
because it's a closed system. It's a closed system.
Right. And science says that everything that comes into existence has to have a cause, right? That's scientific.
Nah, I never heard that before. That's not the Bible.
You never. Nah, that's not the Bible.
I never heard that. Now, what law would that be? Which
You say
law is
what?
that? Which law would that be? What are you talking about?
Ex nihilo nihil fit.
You said a what?
Ex nihilo nihil fit. Out of
Oh, I don't know
nothing,
what the fuck.
nothing
I
comes.
don't know what the fuck.
Look
I
at
know, but
just like you
science
just
does not
called him
say that.
something. Yes, that is what science.
Science
That's
don't
science.
say that. Science don't say that nothing came from nothing. That's not a scientific idea.
That don't make sense either.
There's no such thing as nothing, bro.
You can't get
That's the
nothing from
point.
nothing.
Right, but that's my.
Such thing.
But no. So what I'm saying is that everything that is in existence has to have a cause. That means that
Because
our universe would have to have a cause. You believe in cause and effect.
no, I'm saying you made that up. And I'm gonna say
I
this
did
one
it.
time, and I'm gonna say it one time, and I refuse to argue with you all day. That's not a scientific idea. That's a religious idea, or
Okay.
somebody a philosophical idea, bro. You should not argue with me over something that's not a scientific idea, and then promote it as if it was scientific, because that bogs down the panel. Go find it. Go find a scientific principle that actually says that. Go ahead, bro. Yeah, and
Also,
I'm trying.
if it's in a closed
I'm really trying
system,
to get you
it's
to
already
understand,
here.
though, bro. Yeah, I'm trying to get him to understand, though, bro. You don't never got to fight over science. The Bible is not a scientific thing, bro. God is not scientific, and nor should God have to be. Should not have to be scientific for anybody to believe it, because it is a belief system. So you, my man, you can have your belief system, and you probably shouldn't try to use the Bible to fight against science. It's a loss. Like, I can't fight your belief with science. You're gonna cuss me out. You think that Jesus died on the cross? What I'm gonna say? Well, scientifically speaking, you can't prove it. Come on, yo, we're gonna all go all day. Don't make no sense. All right, go ahead, brother. Let me be quiet. I got mine in.
I just wanted to
Don't
add
they
on to that.
argue with
As far as
science?
okay.
I know I'm supposed to be ending this, but I know that don't they argue though with science? Like gravity is defined as two different things by two different scientists. Type shit. Like, you know?
Yeah, you could you can make an argument for both sides.
That one smart big head dude.
No,
Einstein.
I just wanted to say, as far as things being
Einstein.
created, nothing being created or destroyed or whatever the Latin phrase the brother said, you know what I'm saying? The fact is, like he said, it's a closed system and things was already here. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have it, nobody has an explanation as far as how that closed system was created. So until you do have that, you can't just say a God made it. You can't do that. You just cannot do that. And until you have, and that's why the division happens, because people will say, well, my God made it, and another person will say, well, no, it was my God that made it. And anytime you get to the details of it, it's a problem. You know what I mean? That's why we leave it at home, because it causes division. I mean, this is not really a difficult topic. I mean, that's why we've been on here so long.
What's Newton's law? Before we go, what's Newton's law? Because that's science, right?
Newton's law.
Are you talking about energy cannot be created or destroyed? Are you talking about that? Is that Newton?
No, I'm saying right. But it says every action has an equal and opposite reaction, meaning that's cause and effect, right?
Inertia.
Huh?
Okay.
So, but he just told me that cause and effect wasn't scientific. He said it was made up. It's biblical.
Who said that?
Just said that. I
Bro,
said that.
hey, yo, but if I'm wrong, yo, but watch this. If I'm wrong, that's okay. We can find it out and look it up. Yeah, let's talk about it. I don't have a problem with being wrong. Go get it. Let's read it over. And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna say, bro, you got me.
I asked you what do you know who Newton is? I'm sure because you.
Man, I know who Newton and Newtonian physics. Right. We passed that. We're Einstein now.
For the record, Newton has 3 laws of motion, so we got to make sure we specify. But I know you're talking about action reaction. But yeah, that is a law.
Yeah, clean it up for me, bro. You think I got a problem with that? Nope, because I'm not religious. But I will tell you is that Newtonian physics fits right inside of what Einstein promoted safely. So it's an add-on to it.
It's all together, right? I'm not. You tried to separate it, but I was telling you.
No, I didn't. I just made a mistake. But it's okay. And the way you promoted it, I'm saying the way you came off is if, like, you was trying to say that because there's a cause and effect. Then your next thing was what? Why did you say that? What was you trying to prove by that? So I'm saying I messed that up. Now watch you about to mess. What part are you about to mess up?
I ain't about to mess up. You said that that's not scientific law. I said
okay. So it's not a scientific law though. That I don't know what law is that. Hold on, let me check. Hold on. I don't think that's a law.
Yeah, there's Newton's third law, action and reaction. states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which means that when two objects
Okay.
interact, they either exert forces on each other that are equal in magnitude but opposite to direction for each other. So, like the common example that Newton uses, and you kind of can see it on the screen here, is when you push against the wall pushes back on you with the equal force in the opposite direction.
The easy way
So that
to
would be
show
within
this.
the scientific method. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right.
So that would actually be inside the scientific method. Okay. So you wasn't talking about the scientific method. You was trying to. What point was you trying to make?
I was saying that the matter and stuff that something would have had to cause.
Oh yeah,
It's the law of
that's why I
conservation of energy.
did it. Yeah,
That's what he's
yeah,
talking
you
about.
kind of, yeah, you was trying to, yeah. I think you're applying that wrong. You got the thing right, but you applied it wrong.
It's the
Yeah,
law
you
of
was
the
applying it
conservation of
crazy.
energy. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
We heard you, and go ahead. So make it fit
That's
in
the
the
law.
conversation.
There you
Okay,
go.
that's all right. Yep. Okay, thank you. Now we want to
That's
see. We want to see. Hey man, fit that into what you saying. You trying to say because of that law, it couldn't have been a big bang. Is you saying that?
No, he didn't want that one. I think he wanted he was talking about the one who we're talking about, man. This one
He's not
is
talking about this one.
energy. No,
We
he's
just-
not. Energy cannot be created or destroyed in an isolated system. It be transformed from one form to another. But he was actually talking about the other one because he was saying that it was cause and effect. It was a law of cause and effect. So cause and effect wasn't created by religion. I think cause and effect is a universal law. Something happens and it creates something else. Or
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause and
So
effect.
that's the law of conservation of energy. Is what you just said,
Yeah,
Mel.
cause and effect exists outside
Yeah,
of
that's not the
belief.
cause of effect. Yeah, that's not cause of effect. Right. Y'all get me
Also,
fucking.
creatio ex nihilo. Creatio ex nihilo is creation out of nothing, and that is a religious-based doctrine.
Yeah. Okay. So can I leave now? Can I say what I was gonna say? So I think that a lot of you guys
Y'all mixing me up, nigga. That's all right.
hit me left or he got fell. But a lot of you guys' arguments to me, it falls under religion and not under just belief in a higher power. And so that's a difference there.
It's really not though, honey. Because once you have what the religion is, the belief in higher powers is how you deal with it.
Well, actually, it's not though. The religion has to deal with different things like rituals and beliefs about how you doing this is going to affect your physical life and things like that. You can literally believe in a higher power and not do any of that stuff, right? So a lot of times,
but that
people's
will be the
religious
religion.
beliefs fall victim to that, and then it's no longer about the higher power, and it's more about the nuances of the religion.
Correct.
Right.
A lot
And
of
so
times
then
it's
that gets in the way of everything because you're so busy trying to fit into these nuances of the religion that you lose like focus of the goal. Right. So for instance, we have the barbarians, right? Which my daughter actually is who pointed this out when y'all were arguing about this because she was liking the way that y'all argued without going too far. Going to the point where it's like pull up, like you know what I'm saying. You guys were able to sit in two opposite sides of something and get out what you're saying and disagree, right? And it was because we're actually all on the same team. We're all on the same team because our goal is different than it has nothing to do with our belief. Right. So we're able to come together and we're able to be like, okay, well, I stand on this square, I stand on that square. And what we have in common here is our goal. You know what I'm saying? What we don't have in common is our belief, but that's irrelevant to the goal. So it's not going to affect it. Right. And so I think that that's like what you're trying to say, Pan, is that you can put that to the side and have a goal, a common goal, and leave your belief over here, and we can reach the goal. Once you start involving your belief, you get all these nuances to where now you can't even work with me to get to this goal, even though the goal had nothing to do with your belief. Right. So that's what you're saying. And then that's why you're pointing out all these different things that come with belief in a higher power that are divisive.
Well, okay. So I remember back in the day, I think it was SETI versus one of the Moors or something. He was making fun of the feds or whatever. Now that's not really my point, but his statement was, so when I see somebody wearing the uniform of my oppressor, what I'm supposed to think? If they're wearing the uniform of the enemy, what I'm supposed to feel? And it made me think about the religious thing, right? Because you can't really separate religion from the belief in the higher power that it's associated with. I mean, I know folks want to say religion and spirituality is two different things. It's not. The belief in the higher power is why you're involved in either religion or spirituality. That's why
Yeah,
you're there.
I disagree with that.
I know. I know.
Because you're
I
an
understand.
atheist.
But the reality of it is that's what's happening, right? So,
where Himmy
the
at? Where
reason
Himmy go?
you believe in the higher power,
You got
he
kicked
dropped
off.
off. Once you believe in the higher power, okay, so let's say you believe in a higher power. You have to at this point realize which higher power you believe in, right? And in that discussion, however you came to that, you're gonna be tied to a religion. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so now your interpretation comes from you feeling that you have a connection to that higher power and discernment given from it. You know what I mean? I know it sounds great to separate spirituality and religion because religion is so oppressive, but listen, spirit comes from religion. The word comes from there, spirituality comes from religion. The word spirit comes from the Jewish religion specifically. You know what I'm saying? So if nothing else, find a different word altogether. But it's all the same thing. You follow a higher power by the prescription that it gives you through the doctrine, whether it's oral or written, and you choose a side. And in choosing that, you know what I'm saying, the fundamentals and the details that go along with that, you either gotta decide if you're going to accept it or not. But you know what I'm saying? If I recognize that there's certain differences, that's not my fault.
I think the
You know what I'm
perfect
saying?
analogy would be for religion and spirituality will be like noodles. You have ramen noodles, you have linguine, you have spaghetti, angel hair, and penne pasta, and all of the different type of noodle pastas that you have. But essentially, it's all still a fucking noodle. So
Here's
however you decide to do it's still the same thing. Is what
here's
Pam
the
was saying.
here's the difference though, and you guys are clearly like glossing over this. Religion is a structured system that has an authority. It has an authority figure. It requires on that authority figure because that authority pushes to focus on the belief system and the structure of that belief system.
So does spirituality.
No,
Spirituality
it's
has a
not.
higher power.
No, it's
Anybody
not.
that
Hold on a second.
Authority, but
anybody
that is
that
not the
says that they're
authority.
spiritual,
But
most
it's
times
not a
anybody
structured.
that I've ever met
It's not a.
that is spiritual has a higher being that they adhere
It's
to
not
or
But
that they
structured.
believe in.
but
Wait,
it's
hold
not a
on. Before you
structured
go that far, hold on.
system.
Before y'all go too far, Mel, can you show me that definition that you just said, please?
It's not a definition. I'm explaining it.
No, I know, but I want to see the definition of religion that you
I
just
can get
read.
a definition, but yeah, I'm explaining it. So the religion requires like tradition. It requires ritualistic, practices and beliefs. That's why there are different doctrines and different texts that are considered sacred. These are part of that structure of religion. These do not exist within a spiritual system.
Sure they do. Sure they do. All of them, as a matter of fact.
Oh
Sure
no,
they
they
do,
don't.
and all of them, as a matter of fact. But the religion definition, please find that,
So
right?
the
As far as
religion, the definition of religion, the belief in worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially a god or gods. So essentially is what I just said. It's a
There's
noodle.
more to
It's
that.
just a separate. It's just a different type of noodle.
It's
That's
more
all.
to that. A particular system of faith and worship, a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance.
Yep.
And the spirituality people, y'all got y'all rocks and y'all chakras or low vibration,
No,
high vibration. Y'all follow
that's
rituals.
different things.
Y'all have
No,
all of
that's
these
Kelly, you
different
mad
things that
loud.
you
things.
have to
Kelly, you
adhere
loud as hell.
to that you're saying, and still
So when you're
spirituality.
having spirituality, you can't put that in a box. That's the whole reason that
Exactly.
it's not religion, because everybody's spiritual system is not the same. Everybody's spiritual belief is not the same. Everybody's spiritual practices aren't the same. But if you want to follow a religion, it gives you that, and you have to follow that.
Exactly.
But if I have a
Spiritual belief is
spiritual practice,
literally
somebody can't come tell me what
Wait,
I believe and how I have to do anything that I'm doing. But if you call yourself a Christian, you can go to that book and they can tell you. If you call yourself a Muslim, you go to that book and they tell you what you're supposed to do.
okay.
But nobody can
Okay,
tell me
yes, you do.
what
Your
I'm supposed
spiritual
to
book
do
wait,
will
wait,
be
wait,
because
somebody
wait,
I'm
wait, wait,
that
wait,
wrote
Cheetah,
it.
wait, please wait 1 second. Please wait 1 second. Before y'all go too far, please show me the definition of spirituality that you just pulled from. And just to go real quick to the point that the person was making, as far as the gems and the rocks and the stones and the jewels and things like that, again going back to discernment, when you adhere to a spiritual system that's not a part of one of those organized belief systems, you still have this thing called discernment that you're supposed to be getting from said higher power or whatever you're
And
gonna
where
call
did
that.
you get that definition?
Huh?
So
Yeah, and
spiritual
the
definition
gems
states
and
that
rocks and all that type of
Here's
stuff
the
is not
definition of
spirituality.
spirituality.
I don't know
spiritual.
where y'all getting
I'm
this
about to
from.
say,
I
he
don't
just
know
pulled it
where
up.
they're getting it at, and it has nothing
I
to do
just
with what they're
pulled up
saying.
spiritual definition. It says relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things, or relating to religion or religious beliefs.
Where does it say relating to religion or religious beliefs?
Type in spiritual
Yeah,
No,
definition.
no,
I'll
I'm
tell you
looking
that.
on the screen. Where does it
They're
say
looking
that?
at two
This
different things,
I'm
bro. They're looking
reading
at two
off
spirituality.
of
different
my screen. I'm on my laptop. I
Are you
typed in
just looking up
spiritual
spiritual
definition.
or spirituality?
I looked up spiritual definition.
Okay, spiritual is very different from
Y'all getting
spiritual.
semantic with this right now, and this
No,
is
it's two different
what
Okay, but
things.
we're
no,
trying to point
leave that
out
right
right
there.
now.
Two different
Leave that
things.
right there. Hold on. So the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul. Pause right there. Where do we get the concept of spirit and soul?
By
From
religious people.
yourself.
Religion.
Well, through
That's what I
yourself.
know.
Because
No,
nobody can tell me what a spirit or soul is. Nobody
Yeah,
can
you
no,
tell
no,
can.
me that. I
no,
can
no, no.
tell you what I
Your
think it
very
is.
first, your
No.
very
I can
first,
tell you what I think it is. But nobody
your
can tell me what it is because I don't follow a religious doctrine.
right. But your very first understanding of the word spirit and soul was told to you and taught
No,
to
it
you.
wasn't. It never
That's
was. That's never been told to
Yeah,
me.
that's the thing. Like, there's different uh, there's different parts of where spirit or soul comes from. A lot of times it's not just religious. A lot of times it's cultural, and you're missing their point.
that's not true. Because what I said a minute ago is
Yeah,
the
religion's
words
cool.
that we
That's absolutely
and
true.
really hear me. The words
Yeah,
spirit
yeah,
and soul come directly from the Torah. Now, if you want to talk
What?
yeah,
about
yeah.
I
something else,
thought
Ruach.
What?
The word
No,
ruach.
no, no.
no, no.
Greek word
wait.
I
soul
Hold
got a
on.
Greek
Wait,
words got a
go
word
back.
soul.
You can go back to
And your
Egypt.
argument earlier was about African culture, right?
please. I was trying to finish. Hemi, please let me just finish the sentence. So what I'm saying is
It's crazy.
the words and understanding, spirit of and soul, you get that from Torah.
No,
Full
sir.
stop.
No, I can show you.
Stop.
I can
Please let
show
me
you.
finish.
You
Please
got
let me
it from
finish.
Torah.
Please let me
I
finish.
can show you spirit
Please let me finish the
in
sentence. I just want to
shamanism and
finish the sentence.
animism
I
before
just
a
want to finish the
That's
Torah
sentence.
existed.
But I just want to finish the
crazy.
sentence. I just want to finish the sentence. So what I'm saying is, if you want to talk about some sort of other understanding besides what's in Torah, use that word. Don't use spirit or soul, because that
No,
comes directly.
no,
No,
no, no. What you?
no, sir.
No,
You
Well,
can't
that's
do
in
that. You can't
English.
do that.
And they didn't use
No,
spirit or
it's a
soul in
reason
the
I'm saying that.
Torah.
It's a reason I'm saying that
They
because they're gonna
didn't
have to
use
define the
spirit
thing
or
all right, go
soul
to
ahead.
in
have
the
them
Okay,
Torah.
understand.
The
go ahead.
Torah is not written in
Oh my
English.
God, y'all chill for a
It's
second.
not written in
Damn,
English. So they didn't use
it's a
spirit or
reason.
soul either.
Let me hear his reason. Go ahead. Let me hear his reason why
Well, no,
you.
no,
Go
because
ahead.
they're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go through a certain process to go find the African alternative to that, or
No, you
Yeah,
the
yeah,
don't.
the
yeah.
No,
No,
ancient.
you
you
don't.
don't. Because I can
You
show
understand
it.
what I'm
I
saying?
can show it. I can show it in the animistic
Shit, go ahead,
and the
show it right now.
shamanistic
Show it right now.
perspective.
Show it right now. Show it.
Okay,
Show it.
in animism and in animism and shamanism, in these individual cultures that are native to the land, they
Yes.
believe that all living things, animals and humans, have spirits.
What's the word they use?
Yeah, they don't use the word
Based on the
spirit.
culture, there's different words
It
across the
sure is a
spectrum.
different word. It sure
Across
is a
the
different word.
spectrum, but
Well, what did
they
they
all
use in the
connotate to
Torah?
spirit.
What did
There's
they
a
use in the
reason why
Torah?
I'm
Because the
asking you.
soul
Hold
wasn't
on.
spirit nor soul.
Huh?
The
Y'all
reason
saying
why I
like the
use
word
spirit
God,
is
yo, like the word God. Everybody fitted to everything. That's what y'all basically saying. Like
yes,
the spirit.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
That's
okay, I
what
No,
we're gonna
understand
get
that.
to.
because spirit
Because
and
certain
soul has two
languages is
different
gonna put
meanings
that in
to
that
me.
same
No, you
context.
get that. Like the kind of bond in Egypt, you'll say the spirit and the soul.
Exactly,
Like
but that's what
Right,
I'm
right.
saying. A
I'm
spirit and
trying to tell
soul
you,
has
but
two
he's
different
saying,
you, man.
meanings. With spirit and
I used to
soul
watch
have
you.
two different
I'm trying to
meanings
tell
to
you.
me, right? So to me, spirit and soul is two different things.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck the Torah says about it because I didn't learn it from there.
It don't no, but that don't matter though. The
So
point
yes, it
is
does, because
the
you just said
conversation.
that
No,
where
no.
I got that from was there, but
I'm
I
not
don't
talking
even
about
know
you
that word to
specifically.
even
I'm
be
talking about
in
the
there.
world. I'm talking about the understanding that the world has about the concept
Who?
of
What the
spirit
fuck?
and
Who the
soul.
hell is the
And
world?
that
Because I'm part of the
understanding,
world and I don't have that understanding.
it's okay.
Hey,
Listen,
hey,
what's
that's why I
happening
say we
right
need
now
part
is
two. We need part two on
we
this.
really talking about is
No, because
religion
I don't
different than
understand
spirituality?
why you think everybody get it from the Torah. Who the hell gave the Torah any kind of like I don't
Nah,
know
he ain't. I
authority?
don't think that's what I thought he was saying, but he ain't really saying it like that. Then I don't think that's what he's meaning. Like the
And
word
then do
God.
they say soul in the Bible? Like, do they say soul in the
Yeah,
Torah?
yeah, yeah. The word the
'Cause I
word is
heard that
ruach.
they said
It's
that, but
spirit.
I thought that was
It's
It's
ruach.
spirit.
nefesh, it's
Okay, but is
nefesh
it
and
spirit or
ruach.
soul?
Yeah, it's
In
ruach.
in in
Yeah.
the Torah is nefesh and ruach. In
Okay, but
Arabic
is it
is nafs
spirit or
and ruh.
soul?
In Greek is spiritus and
Yeah,
I can't remember the
spiritus.
other one.
Spiritus.
But
Right?
is a spirit a soul in the Torah?
Okay, right. So like I said, in
I don't
Torah
know.
is nafesh or ruach, which
Yeah.
migrates to Arabic, which is nafs and ruh, and in Greek, which the Torah was then translated and moved to, you know what I'm saying, is
Kohan
spiritus.
Greek. Kohan Greek.
And what was the other right? And what was the other word for theos was the word that they used for God. That
It's
concept
theos.
that concept and
That's the Greek word is theos.
right. So the concept and understanding that we have comes down that
And
lineage.
Elohim and
Most of us
Elo and Elohim
But
right.
I'm saying, I mean, I get what you're saying here, but I'm saying
and El.
I can show pre Torah belief in just indigenous culture, their their
Similar
interaction with spirit.
concept. Similar concept.
Yeah, there's plenty of concepts. I can show you the two spirit concept in certain indigenous cultures where masculine and feminine energy is a part of the foundation of their culture's belief system. Like I can show you that, and they
I
classify them
know
as
no no.
spirits or
I
souls.
know that. I'm not
I but
saying
why
that
would you reference Torah as
because like I said, there's a very specific path that you got to go down, and you really just started going down it, and you started talking about the male and female energies that's inside the dot, 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 which is violently different than the understanding that is in the Torah, and is violently different than most of the spirituality that you hear people talking about, right? Because when you start going down those paths, you will have to eventually find out the word for those different spirits because they're not called spirits. You will have to understand what those different deities mean in those
okay, but
in
the
that light.
concept is the
Okay,
same.
I'm sorry.
With regardless of the language barrier and the understanding of different religious structures barrier, the concept is the same.
Right. And
Yeah, I
now here
wouldn't
we are.
agree to
Now,
that. I wouldn't agree
now,
to that. And
but
I
wait,
wouldn't
no,
agree
You
to
that's
wouldn't
that.
okay.
agree
No,
to that?
Close. I
but
would,
understand why
like
we here though.
close. I put you in the game, but
Understand why
it's
we
not.
got here, and I'm gonna close
Okay,
out. I'm gonna
okay.
shut up. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm gonna shut up after this. Notice how you got
Because
to
I
religion and spiritual.
can show
Oh my
how
gosh.
even as
Notice how you
cavemen
got to the end point right there that religion and spirituality is actually the same when you really break it down.
they're not.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what you
That's
got.
the same. Yeah, that's
That's what you
absolutely
just
the
got.
They're
same.
not. They're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
requires
yeah.
a structural system to keep the faith?
No, 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 no. You're
Yes, it
wrong.
does.
No,
Yes, it
No,
no,
you're
does.
you're
wrong.
changing it.
No,
You're
you're
changing it.
wrong. You're
It does.
wrong.
It
You're
No,
requires
changing it.
rituals. It requires a text. Yes,
nah.
there's a
Nope.
difference.
That's not true.
No, no,
That's
no,
not
no, no,
true,
Yes,
no,
it
bro.
no, no,
does.
no, no, no.
Yes, it
No,
does.
No.
it's not.
Let me say something. Let me say
Yes,
something.
it does.
There's no.
It's the
Hold
same
on.
reason. It's the
No,
same
no, no,
reason
no,
why
no. Let me just make a
why a
point. Let me
cult
just make a point,
thrives
yo.
on those things
No, bro. You're going
structure.
too hard for that.
I'm not.
You're doing
Listen.
way
I'm
too much.
not.
You
Listen what
are.
I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying. There's no scholarly consensus on exactly what a religion is, bro. So a religion can have religious text, it don't have to have it. They can
It has
have
a
gods,
structure.
they don't have hold on, they don't have to have it. They can
Yes, it
just have
does.
song, they can have song and dance and it still be a religion, bro.
A religion has to have a social structure.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
it
Our
doesn't.
religion is a social cultural system, which contains all of that.
My point, but spirituality is not the same.
Yes, that's but you can have spirits and all that, but then
But it
contained within the religion.
doesn't require the structure. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, it
No,
does.
so
It
hold on,
requires you to believe in something.
hold.
It
Let me say
requires
this.
you to follow some
Hold on
type
for
of
a minute.
ritual, whether it be you
Yo, you crashing
rubbing your
out.
rocks together
You
or
crashing out,
putting
man.
your rocks outside.
What does
It
rocks have to
requires
do with
you
spirituality, though?
Hold on,
Wait
you
a minute.
guys.
Hold on.
follow
What does
Relax,
rocks
yo.
have to do with
Quincy
spirituality,
and
though?
Melvin, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Wait a minute, man. Oh, y'all.
Are
So
you
y'all
gonna
saying
do
Africans didn't have religion?
at the same
But they
time?
didn't need rocks to do it.
No, I'm asking you a
What?
question.
They
Did
didn't have
Africans?
no, they
Hold
didn't
on,
have
yo.
religion.
I'm saying, did Africans have religion? Because they
They
sure
had
They
told
have
the
spiritual
early
bodies
systems.
of
Africans that they had religion.
They had spiritual systems for a reason.
No,
I'm asking you a
they didn't have
question, bro.
religion.
Yes, they did. Yes, they
They
did.
did not. They did not have
Okay.
religion. They did not have organized religion until Islam and Christianity came into the picture.
Yes,
Why you add
Yeah,
organized to it all the time?
ATRs, African traditional religion. So they did, bro. It was the white people that
they
said they
had
didn't have
several
religions. They said they
different.
was barbarians. They said they didn't
Why
have
you add
a religion. They was
organized
wrong
to
as
it?
shit. And because they played the game, the only thing they accepted as a valuable religion was Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Everything else was trash. Yo, I'm telling you, bro. They've always had a religion.
The only reason why a lot of them say that Islam and Christianity doesn't conflict with their traditional beliefs is because they're still able to practice their traditional spiritual
You moved the
system
goalpost, bro.
without.
We're not
I'm
talking
not
about
moving
that
the
though, man.
goalposts. That's what
You
the
are.
What
We're
people
we
not talking
talking
say.
about
about?
that. We're not talking about that, yo.
But
We're
that's
talking
what
about
I'm talking about.
African thing right now. You said that. You said Africans didn't have religion. You said religion gotta have some
I'm
kind of
saying it's
set
not
system.
organized like Islam and
It don't
And I
Christianity.
need to be
agree. They don't
organized.
have
It's
religion.
everything is
They
already
have
Still
organized.
religion.
spiritual systems.
Religion is
They
Y'all
have
tripping.
organized. I'm trying to tell you that.
So this is what we gonna
Oh,
do. This is what we gonna do. Hold on. Right now, we at an
Mhm.
impasse. We arguing like we ain't got no damn sense. So I'm gonna introduce a source into the goddamn
All
conversation.
right, let's go.
A simple source we can all read. Go pull up Wikipedia religion. Do that.
Oh, nah.
Yeah, we're gonna go the simple 1, 2, 3 route for a minute. Simple is right there, and we're gonna go to an encyclopedia.
and yo, why he
Wikipedia.
doing that? I want you to realize, Mel, that
No,
you
it's
keep
not why
adding
I'm
the
doing it. Take 2 seconds to pull that up, yo. You don't
no, no,
mess
no.
us up.
I'm not looking it up. Well, I think Honey is. I'm just gonna say that Mel, you notice you keep adding the word organized. A minute ago, we was just
Yeah,
talking about
right.
Is
religion.
religion not organized?
It's
Continue.
a
It
rituals, bro.
requires
You can have rituals.
organization and governance,
No,
man.
it
Come
don't.
on
That's
now.
what white people say.
But
So you
it
don't got no
does.
civilization. No, bro, you made that up. I'm trying to say the
I did not
Europeans
make that
played the
up.
game. No, listen what I'm trying to say, Mel. Just because you was halfway right on the point earlier, you was halfway right. You weren't all right. You was halfway right. All right.
You
Yeah.
funny, yeah.
And we going and I'm gonna get that straight before we get off the show. Listen, bro, Europeans promoted that wild idea. That the Muslims promoted that they had the only religion, the right way, the right path. It was nonsense, bro. It's nonsense. What?
So what are we reading on Wikipedia?
I'm not sure exactly what he wanted to read, but I mean, the
I
first
said
line
I
is.
wanted to read religion. I'm sure of what it is. It's on
Yeah,
Wikipedia. It's
we're
called
looking at it.
religion.
We're
I was about
part
to
of
say the first
the
line is right
wiki.
there.
The intro.
Read it. Start off. I'm
The
gonna
first
shut
line.
up. Go. Religion what? What is
Just read the
religion?
first line.
Go. Go. Read it.
Here, I'll read it since y'all don't want to read it.
Religion.
Religion is a
Ahead.
range of social cultural systems,
Stop.
including
Stop.
designated
Stop
behaviors
for
and
a minute.
practices.
Stop.
All right.
Stop for a minute. Did you hear that?
Of course.
Go ahead. Keep going. Start over
Yeah,
again.
we gonna do it like the Hebrew Israelites.
What's your
Read.
social culture system?
Go ahead. Start over again.
What's your
You
social
gotta
cultural
stop.
system?
Thank you. So you saying that Africans didn't have social cultural systems, bro?
They did. They
You add a
did.
crazy. Okay, so you added a crazy
Okay, but
European
a
dynamic to
social
it.
culture
If it ain't
system,
organized,
a
organized
social,
like what, nigga? It is organized, nigga. When the sun set, nigga,
but
we go. It's
but
organized,
a,
motherfucker.
but a social.
And
When it
right there in
rain
the
real
middle, it
hard, nigga,
says
we're going.
there
Keep
is no
reading. No,
scholarly
no, don't stop in
consensus.
the middle. Bro, don't do that.
Okay, okay,
Man,
okay, okay,
can you
okay.
just read it over again? I'm not gonna mess with you. Go ahead.
From the beginning.
Go ahead.
Religion is a
Go ahead.
range of social cultural systems, including designated
Mhm,
behaviors and practices, morals, beliefs,
mhm,
worldviews, text, sanctified places, prophecies, ethics, or organizations that generally
mhm,
relate humanity to supernatural, transcendental, and spiritual elements. Although
mhm.
there is no scholarly consensus over
Said
what
that.
precisely constitutes a religion,
Mm, mm,
it is
mm.
essentially contested, an essentially contested concept. Different religions may or may not contain various elements ranging from the divine, which is
Mm.
interesting,
Mm-hmm.
sacredness, faith,
Mm-hmm.
and a supernatural being or beings. So they may not even have that.
Thank
This is
you.
deep.
Keep going. Keep
Keep
going.
going. Okay. The origin of religious belief is an open question with possible explanations, including awareness of individual death, a sense of community, and dreams. Religions have sacred histories, narratives, and mythologies preserved in oral traditions, sacred texts, symbols, and holy places that may
Nice.
attempt to explain the origin of life. And I
Yeah.
can't read the rest of it. And
You
other
don't got to read no more, yo. We got the gist of it, yo.
Hey, I'm
So yes,
gonna say this. And then
Neanderthal can have a
I'm
religion,
gonna
yo.
say
Let's just stop playing.
no,
They can
no,
just
no, no,
bury
no, no. Don't do
motherfuckers, put
that.
a
Don't do
flower in
that.
the
Don't do that.
motherfucker.
You that's a hell of a reach. I'm gonna say
It's
this.
not. No, yo.
It is,
Neanderthal bird, they did, bro.
bro.
Lion
Listen,
man, are you kidding me right now? You put
bro.
a flower in the death
You
and
put
somebody dead, yo.
you're saying it's organized.
Elephants may
Show
have a
show
religion. Nigga, don't get me started. I'm
show
not
how it's
reaching.
organized. Show how it's organized.
No, no, it don't, bro. Come on, Mel.
Show how
You
it's
talking that
organized.
shit we talked 10 years ago. Y'all, we've changed that. Just for the record, bro. Yeah, I've changed that, Mel.
Show how it's
The
organized.
data allowed us to change that. I get your point.
Absolutely. But show how it's organized. My thing. When you look at social culture systems, they don't require a religion. I can show you Native American culture. Native American culture doesn't necessarily require any reliance
You're
on
talking about
deity.
institutional religion, yo. And that for it to be religion doesn't have to be institutional, bro. I'm just trying to help you out, bro.
I'm just saying.
Well, we used to say that. We used to say that African ain't had no religion. I was wrong, yo.
We can use Native American culture. They don't necessarily have deities or require religious worship. Those are fundamental to religion.
You asked a question.
No, I was
Yeah, I
making a
tuned out.
point. I was making a
I
point.
didn't hear you. Say it again.
That's what I was saying about my spirituality, not
I
having to
I,
be
I was saying I was saying Native American culture doesn't require a deity, nor does it require religious worship. That's something that religion requires. And I'm
Like you
telling
just
you,
said, a religion. You just called it a religion. You
It's
just
still
called
a
it a religion.
religion, Mel.
but
They
it's
have
not a
religion.
religion.
Native
But
Americans
Native
have
American
religion, Mel.
culture is not a religion.
It is,
You
man.
just
You
called it
sound
a
like a
religion.
damn Hebrew to
No,
say, I ain't
no,
got no religion. Come on, Mel. You messing
no.
it up,
But
bro.
it's not a religion though.
Why is it so hard for you to not to? So you disagree with the Wikipedia page? Just say that.
It's. I don't disagree with the wiki, but you got to bring
Whoa, whoa.
context. And
No, 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 no. Yo, you don't disagree
wikis,
with the Wiki. Now you're going to tear down Wikipedia. Go ahead and tear it down. Go ahead.
wiki said
Go
it's a
ahead, Mel.
social. Wiki says religion is a social cultural system, and I'm telling you,
Arrange.
The range, you got to see the range, bro.
but I'm
The
telling
range
Range,
you,
bro. You're not
that
seeing the
includes your
range, yo.
spirituality.
You're not seeing the range, bro.
yeah.
You're
Now here we
limiting
go.
this shit.
Showcase, and Cheetah said that Queen Cheetah says they do. Showcase where Native Americans require a deity or religious worship.
No, it's
Show that in
irrelevant.
their culture.
You don't need a
It's
deity. You don't need a deity to have a religion, bro. You don't need
It
a
just said it right
god,
there in
yo.
the definition.
Right.
But you
It tell
do
you
need
don't need
religious
that,
worship.
man. It's a range of things. You
okay,
could
but
just have
so
burial
wait.
practice. Hold on, yo. You just have burial practice, yo. And
But
that's your
you do
religion, bro.
need
We just
religious
bury niggas.
worship. Do you not? Do you
No,
not
y'all
need
want to let you
ritual
know that you can
sermons?
bury your nigga and throw a plant in that motherfucker. That be your spirituality. And you don't fuck with it again until the next nigga die. And you got a full flung religion, bro. Come
Okay,
on,
that's
yo.
cool. But for spirituality, right? You do need one,
No,
right?
what?
No,
For
it's the
spirituality, you
same
do
thing.
need one, right?
Honey,
No,
you don't need,
Yeah.
listen, there's no definition of spirituality.
Yes, it
We got our
is. We
own
pulled
What?
it up.
What?
No.
We just pulled up the definition for
No, that's
spirituality.
not real.
The
Everybody got
quality
their
of
own
being
definition.
concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. That's the definition.
so what do you think that means? That's opposite of religion.
What? That has nothing to do with any of this shit. None of this stuff on here I need. Like none of this shit.
It doesn't require spirituality. Doesn't require
Nothing
any of that.
religious.
All
It
of
doesn't
this,
require any of this shit that's going
Hold
on in
on,
this
right? All of
religious
this,
stuff.
right? But it
all,
also
What are
say
you
that.
saying?
But it also say that religion don't require any of that too.
it was.
What are you
Stop
saying?
right there. Look where the mouth is. Look
Religion
where the mouth is.
involves you having to do something.
No.
Hold on.
Read,
Read. No, I just want you to read in the screen right there. Stop right there, honey. Right there. It says
Different
origin.
religions.
It says the origin
Different
of
religions.
religious
No. Start up top. Different religions may or may not contain various elements ranging from the divine,
Okay.
sacredness,
Okay.
faith, or supernatural beings.
Okay, scroll down.
It may not contain any of those things.
Okay,
Just like
Marie
the
Red says
spirituality
the origin of religious belief is an open question, with possible explanations including awareness of individual death, a sense of community, and dreams. Since we're going to use Wiki, we're going to use Wiki. Religions have sacred histories, narratives, and mythologies preserved in oral traditions, sacred texts, symbols, and holy places that may attempt to explain the origin of life, the universe, and other phenomena. And you can even read the next paragraph. Those are things that religious practices include. Spirituality doesn't require.
No. It said it may include. And above that, it say it may not include.
But
But it
spirituality
also may
doesn't
not
require
include
that.
But it also may not include it. Just like at
Okay,
the
but
top, you may not even need a
you can't.
supernatural being. Why are you doing this, Mel? It just told you may not need a supernatural being. You may not even need things to be divine. Like Ankh said, you might just throw a goddamn flower in the grave and that's it. You don't need nothing to be sacred.
But you just can't throw shit at the
No,
wall and try to make
that's not.
it
But that's not it because right here it says religions have. Religions have. So this is not a may or may not. This is period.
You're right.
Religions have sacred histories, narratives, mythologies, preserved oral traditions, sacred texts, symbols, and holy places.
Check. Scroll up real quick. Scroll up. Now, notice how that entire paragraph right there contradicts the second paragraph. Now,
but that was our source. That's why I kind of frowned on him bringing up Wiki.
All I was going to say was we can go to each one of them.
This doesn't contradict anything, right?
Sure, it does. Go to the last sentence. Go to the last sentence. What does the last sentence say?
It is essentially contested concept that.
No, but you said that, so that was a good point.
May not contain various elements ranging from the divine, sacred faith, and the supernatural being.
That's the most important.
But this part ain't down here. None of this has to do with what that says.
It does. It said it may not even contain the divine. Look.
Right, but this doesn't have nothing about the divine down here. It doesn't say that.
Okay, what's in the okay? The word divine isn't down there. What's the next word? Sacredness?
Or sacredness or faith. None of that is down here.
Is sacred. Time out. Is sacred in the next paragraph?
No, it just says sacred histories.
Sacred histories, sacred texts, and above that it says it may not have no sacredness, right?
Sacredness, above that it said, sacred describes something that is dedicated to set apart for the service of worship.
Right, and that sentence says it may not have any sacredness.
It says it may or may not, right? But this one's saying that it's going to have some sacred text.
But that could be wrong based on this sentence.
Oh, okay. Right? So then, since it might be wrong, then we can throw this whole thing away because either we're going to use it as an authority.
That's why I didn't want
What I was saying was let's go to the source.
Oh,
go
either
to the source.
Use it as an authority or not.
No, it's a link right there. Just hit the link. We can go to the source. Let's see who's talking about it.
Go to what source?
But there's no source for that paragraph.
This is not a source. This is just going to tell you what this word means.
No. I'm talking about the numbers. I'm talking about the numbers.
That number comes. That number's from the previous paragraph.
Go to number 4.
Where is that? Here
at the top. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's required. That's for the essential concept.
Yeah, for the definition of religion. So let's see what they're talking about.
No, this is for the contested concept.
It's not for the definition of religion. It's explaining the concept of it.
It's saying religion and its modifiers, making sense of the definition and classification of a contested concept theory in society.
Correct. Two separate sides. That has nothing to do with what was just read below that.
But it's contested subject, which is religion.
Yeah, religion in itself is a contested.
Right, because it's always contested. Yeah. That's irrelevant.
Well, I don't know. That's what Ankh was just saying. It's a contested concept because of the definition that they keep giving it, which is the reason why if you went by the definition that was given, you would have Native Americans, the Chinese, and almost all of Africa never having religions.
Right.
They would have cultural spiritualities.
And that's why I brought up Native American
based on the first definition of religion that they had, which is why it's a contested thing, because the definition that they gave was the organization of it. So they didn't have
Exactly.
like with Africa, you had in Native Americans especially, a lot of their quote unquote deities and divinations came from nature, right? And it was just part of their culture. They didn't go to church
Correct.
every Sunday and do something on Wednesday or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
It
no,
was just part of
I
their
feel you on
cultures.
that.
So because it was part of their cultures like that, and it was just a cultural thing, they said it wasn't religious because they didn't have a text, they didn't have a deity, a certain savior, a certain
Right.
a
Except for
certain day, a certain holy
they
place
did
to
though.
go. So because they were
Except for
saying
they
it
did.
wasn't that they wouldn't be religious.
Right. Except for they
Now
were
they're
and they
trying to
did. Right. So
change
they had
it
all those things.
to any of
No, no.
these
That,
things would
Right.
be religion.
They're moving the goalposts with
hold
it.
on. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Native Americans absolutely had a higher power. They also
Who?
had a
Who is it?
structured belief
No, they
system.
had
Please listen
Who?
to
multiple.
me. Please let me
Who
finish.
is it?
Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm the guy, Mel. I'll answer you, fam.
He said,
You ain't
I'm the
gotta do that.
guy.
Okay,
All right.
I'm
It's
that guy
structured.
too. Who is it?
It's I know it's you. As a matter of fact, here, look this up. You can look up the Choctaw. Matter of fact, the 5 civilized tribes. Go check them out.
Okay,
And you
I know
come
who they
back
are.
with
Okay,
right,
who's the
good.
guy?
So you also know about the color coded system, right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, that's another part. Tell me you know this, Mel. Pay attention. Make sure you hear this because I want you to agree with me on this. You realize that the color black and the black man to the east, right, is part of the reason where Noble Drew Ali got the black means death science from, right?
Correct.
So you know what I'm talking about. Excellent. So now, if we go into that spirituality, right? How do you know that if it wasn't written down?
Yeah, we're not
And
doing
I'm not
this.
talking about, hold on. I'm not talking about words. I'm about to answer you on that too. But I'm
Okay.
not talking about words. I'm talking about the image that you saw. If that's not considered passing down a doctrine by verbally writing something down with the imagery, what are you going to call that? Because you saw the same thing that I saw. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So what is that? That's not
But
symbols. That's not ritual. That's not practices. That's not doctrine.
that's yeah. In that case it applies, but that has
Okay.
nothing to do with that culture.
What?
No, it has nothing to do with that culture. They
Man.
show how they venerate that. Show how they have the sacred
Fuck
text,
out of here,
and
bro.
they require
No, Bill. Listen, I'm
all
fucking with you guys,
Choctaw
man.
or all the
Yeah,
five
we're not
civilized
doing this.
tribes to participate.
I can't even front. I was laughing the whole
You got to
time.
show that.
I'm not even. We're not doing this. Let's just let this go. End the show. I fuck with you guys, man. You guys are great. Barbarians rule. Paradigm shift. TV. 314 to the world. Let's get it.
Hey man, it was a good show though. I think it. You know, we got to have a part two. You and Himmy. Maybe I'll do some.
Not part two. Me and Henny. We could just finish
Yes,
up what I was
yes,
saying.
yes,
We're just
absolutely.
finishing the things that I was saying. That's it. Because yeah, this is too. This is a lot. No, honey, we ain't hold you hostage. Just push the end. You can end it right now. Just stop it. And just thank you for
Hey,
tuning
make
in.
sure y'all hey, shout out to Moore, shout out to Ankh who came through, God Killer. Shout out to Marlon who popped up. Forgot his screen name, but shout out to him, shout out to Queen Cheetah. We about to end this. Make sure y'all hit the like and subscribe for the Bar Reloaded. Make sure y'all go follow the Barbarian Debate Den. We getting that started up soon. So yeah, this is a good show. What you think, honey? Hey, appreciate it, Orthodox Moore. We're gonna start doing some stuff on there, man. Get some stuff going on the Barbarian Debate there. I gotta get an intro made. I'm working on that currently, getting the intro made. Probably change up some photos and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll get some stuff done. I don't know where Honey Clark went. We gotta end this. But yeah, thank y'all for stopping by. Make sure y'all hit the like button.
Hello?
All right, there you go. Yep. So I was just wrapping up. We can go ahead and end the show.
You know, you guys suck at this. All right, people. Well, see you next time.
We the champions, trailblaze no missing. Speak facts, let the world stop and listen. Barbarian swing, every point hit the mark. Cut through the noise like flames in the dark. We the champions, ain't no retreat. Feel sharp and steel, every word, every beat. On the mic or the stage, we control the game. Barbarian debate, yeah, they remember the name. Paint the battlefield vivid, every lyric's a stroke. Turn your whole team to ghosts when the truth is provoked. Bar for bar, I'm a titan, got the heavens in awe. Lines heavy as Atlas, hold the world in my claws. I see life through the prism, talking dark in the light. From the dirt to the throne, every wrong made right. Barbarian mind state, got the truth in my veins. They talk heat, but they fire don't match my flame. Flip the map, global presence, I'm a legend in time. They clock out, I clock in, redefining the grind. Cutting lies like confetti, watch the fall of the sea. Barbarians hold the keys, now they ain't safe in these streets. We the champions, trailblaze no missing. Speak facts, let the world stop and listen. Barbarian swing, every point hit the mark. Cut through the noise like flames in the dark. We the champions, ain't no retreat. Feel sharp and steel, every word, every beat. On the mic or the stage, we control the game. Barbarian debate, yeah, they remember the name.
Correcting pseudos is fun, it's like righting the wrong. Honey, death toll is large from me collecting the pawns. We keep their heads on the wall and bring them back just for fun. Barbarians is lurking, but really what can be done? Meta AI is no match, you better read more than that. We redefining the game, and you lame just to blame. If you wanna play, set it up. We set the bar, you ain't tough. Step in the ring or you must. Don't waste our time with the fuss. I tip my hat cause you brave, and you the next one we claim. We toast to drink to your name, and then we spark up the flame. I don't care if it's one or two. No, they back by the whole crew. Don't bother running. Once we come in, we gonna collect you.
We the champions, trailblaze no missing. Speak facts, let the world stop and listen. Barbarian swing, every point hit the mark. Cut through the noise like flames in the dark. We the champions, ain't no retreat. Feel sharp and steel, every word, every beat. On the mic or the stage, we control the game. Barbarian